Morning, everybody. It's great to be here with you. Going to clear out the pipes. Ben and Woods here, 97.3 The Fan. Let's get our heads right on a Tuesday. It's such a Tuesday feeling Tuesday. I'm Woodsy. To my right, Paul Reindl, executive producer, director of the YouTube stream. You can watch us on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search Ben and Woods. You can see our pretty faces on there and see all the facial expressions and whatnot. It's great. Hi, Paulie.
Hello. It is very Tuesday-ish.
It feels very much like a Tuesday. Very, very, very much like a Tuesday. To my left, Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning on a Tuesday.
It is Tuesday. Made a ass out of myself at least twice yesterday. I tweeted yesterday.
Congratulations.
I like where this is heading.
Did you see my tweet? I went down to Petco Park after the show yesterday, and it's been my best friend is in town from Wichita, Kansas, and it's been a bit of a rough go with friends coming to town lately, schedules conflicting, and again, I like to make the point. This is a vacation destination. That being said, when you come for vacation, you're on vacation. I'm not. Right? So
correct.
He did nothing wrong. There was a bit of a miscommunication, though, on when exactly his plane was landing. He has a huge family with him. So they're renting a minivan or maybe even a maxi van. And so I texted him. I got down to the ballpark at what? We got out of here, pretty, 10:15.
Well, so if you go back to yesterday, you left us with previously on Ben and Woods.
Right.
You were planning on pretty much meeting up with him.
Pre-game.
You had an hour.
Had about an hour,
maybe go to 7 Mile.
Yeah.
Have lunch, and then it would be time to hang.
So the way that I looked at it was games at 1. I'll probably catch up with him at about, 11:30 noon. In my mind, I remembered he said he was landing at 9 o'clock. And then he had to get his rental car and his luggage and all that. So, all right, 11, call it 11. Well, we'll get to hang out a couple hours pregame. So I go down to the field, and I've got nothing to do. Nothing. I just went down, had my credential on. I barely ever use it. And I'm like, all right. So I walked down on the field. And I started chopping it up with Dennis Lynn from The Athletic and Bryce Miller. And I'm going to name drop all these A-level celebrities. Sam Levitt, Bob Scanlon went up into the booth. I said hello to Mud, Don, Jesse, Tony, Dave Marcus.
You made the rounds.
I did. I made the rounds. I pressed some flesh. So I'm walking around. I did that. And I'm like, I gotta get out of their hair. They got to work. So I'm like, maybe I'll eat. I'll get something to eat. It was Grand Ole Monday yesterday. So I went right up to Grand Ole Barbecue, got a delicious pulled pork sandwich, sat down, ate it. Was like, now what do I do? So I looked at my phone.
All right, that killed 6 minutes.
That's exactly right. I was like, 12 minutes down. Only about an hour to go. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't heard from John. Finally, he texts me. He's like, we're on the ground. Oh, you just landed. Okay, cool. About 45 minutes later. Hey, bro, the line at the rental car place is literally 75 deep.
Oh, I've been in one of those before.
And I went, oh no. He sent me a picture. I went, oh my God. So I go, so then my mind starts racing. And the brain kicks in and it's anxiety, honestly, is what it is. I went, so I don't have a seat. I don't want to go to the press box. And our press box was taken anyway. Coach and Braden were broadcasting up there. They were doing their show and they were in it. They were in the seats. I looked. So I was like, I don't have a chair. It's hot. Dodger fans streaming in left and right. So I called Fenwick. I go, what are you looking at? He goes, I don't know, man. Probably going to be down there by 3. I go, yeah, no, that's it. That's it for me. So I was walking out, and I was like, I'm just going to go home and watch a game with my kids and my wife. And they're home for summer. So I was like, I'll get home and help, right?
We haven't even gotten to the am I a jerk?
No, we have to do another one. Yeah, so I walk by this little margarita stand. They make margaritas there at Petco Park, and I'm just reaching for a napkin, just one napkin. So I reach for they're like these boats, and they have there's straws on one side, straws on the other, napkins in the middle.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Made out of plastic. So I walk by, and I just want to grab a napkin. So I do. I grab one napkin. The whole thing falls over and hits the ground. You hear basically like this. like the crack. I'm like, oh my God. Now people are filing into the stadium at this point. So my face goes red and I go, oh, and I look back and there's 400 straws scattered all over the ground. So I go, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So I lean down to start picking him up. And of course I said, attaboy, Woodsy, great job, bud. And I'm like, oh my God, dude. And I'm like, I know, this sucks. I'm sorry. So I want to apologize personally to Peter Seidler. I probably cost you like $7 in awful paper straws yesterday that I knocked down. I made a complete fool of myself. So then I go home, watch the game.
And you can't take you anywhere.
No, I'm just a big klutz. You guys tell me if I'm an a-hole. I mean, I know the answer. I just want your opinion. Ben, you have kids. Remember when they went to kindergarten?
I do. It was a while ago, but yeah.
Game ends. I'm miserable. After the game. I'm so upset. I'm so bummed out. I'm so pissed off.
We're like 4
o'clock.
4:30.
Yeah, about 4. Right about 4. And he goes, by the way, we have a kindergarten meetup today. I go, what? We have kindergarten meetup? Where? It's just down the street, neighborhood park.
Kindergarten meetup.
Mm-hmm. Like a play date.
It's the third one. He hasn't started kindergarten yet. It starts in like a week or so. I go, have fun. She goes, oh no, you're going to this one. And I go, for what?
It's the third one. Have you been to the other two?
No. So I go, what's the purpose of these? Obviously to make sure Bo's comfortable.
Right.
And I go, well, in my day, we just, went to kindergarten.
Yes. And I remember the stress of having to meet all those new people on the first day. And it was terrifying. And now that we found a better way, possibly over the last, 30, 40 years since we've been to kindergarten, that
we've evolved as humans.
You can
a little
meet
bit.
some of these little kids in a safe setting with your parents there,
right?
A couple of times before you actually
next
have to
week,
show
Sweet
up.
Bo is going to school with all of his friends,
And you can
not
say
strangers
on the first morning of school, hey, remember so and so? You went to the park. He'll be there, and she'll be there, and you'll get to see your new friends, and it might save you a lot of misery
idea.
coming up next week, right? No.
In a perfect world, yeah, you guys are both absolutely right. It's a hard thing as a dad, and many dads and moms can relate to this. You don't want your children to suffer, but you need them to suffer a little,
struggle a
little bit of struggle. And I'm not saying, I'm not the guy that says, well, I paid off student loans. I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy that says, hey, I had to go racked with anxiety. You need to do the same. Put hair on your chest. I'm not that dude. You guys know that. I'm not. I love Bo more than anything in the world. Take a bullet to the dome right now if it meant saving his life. You know that. You guys know that for a fact.
I know that.
But I said to her, I go, who's going? She said, well, Jackson's going to be there. It's his best friend. I go, oh, okay. I said, okay, all right, I'll go. Get dressed, the whole bit. We load up the wagon. We walk down to the park. Taylor's there. Hannah's there. Bo's there. And we see Jackson. Guess what happens? No one says hello to us. No one introduces themselves. Bo and Jackson run off to the corner and start finding roly-polies. We did down there what we could have done in our front yard. He met no one, played with no one, didn't meet one single parent, no one said hello. We didn't say hello. What was the purpose?
Well, whose fault was that?
I don't know.
Did you encourage Bo to go meet?
Yes,
new
I go, dude, go play, meet some friends.
Did you go at least talk to some of the parents?
Not a word, man.
You didn't do anything.
Not a
You
damn
waited
thing.
for them to come up to you.
I just walked up, and my kids went and started playing together as I knew they would in the thing, like looking for roly-polies and having fun together. And I looked at Hannah and I go, you don't force this on people. You don't force interaction. And she's like, you are the worst. And I go, I get it. I am. I said, but again, there's something to be said for learning how to meet someone. And it's not my hand on your back, and we push you guys together. You guys are now friends. Like, let the game come to you a little bit. You don't need 3 meetups to do kindergarten. You can just go to kindergarten. Right? Am I a total a-hole?
Won't they already? I mean, they'll have a lot of that when he goes to kindergarten as well.
You're forced to be in a class.
That. If there was a chance that you could have made that process a little smoother, I think it's worth
I did.
An
I
hour
went.
of your time.
I did, and I went, and I pouring sweat through my shirt. I was pissed off about the game. I just wanted to not revel. I wanted to just be in the loss for a while, and I was very mad about yesterday's game. And I just go,
You wanted to roll around in your misery.
Yeah. I wanted to metaphorically find my own roly-polies by myself, right? and had you come over or Paulie come over, we could have done it together. But I didn't want to see anybody else. I didn't want to go down there and chew the fat with anybody at that moment. And Hannah looked at me like, she's like, what am I going to do with you? And I'm like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm involved. I coach and stuff. I'll whatever. But this forced bit is going to be hard. This whole school thing is going to be hard for me. It really is. I'm not in tune to this stuff. So
is his friend Jackson going to be in kindergarten with him?
Jackson's going to be in the Spanish immersion program. So they will not be in class together. So he will be forced to make new friends, just like he did when he went to preschool. And I know him. He's a sweet kid with a big heart. He's going to be fine. He's social. He's a leader. But also, he sees through kind of the BS. He's like, don't force me to play with these kids unless I'm ready and I want to. And I'm okay with. I think I'm justified in saying maybe we let the game come to us instead of forcing the game. Right.
So you were ultimately, let's just be clear. You were ultimately forced to stroll down the street
to the park. Yeah,
for an hour or so.
Yep.
And this is what we've talked for the last 10 plus minutes about.
I mean,
about.
Am I the jerk for?
At the very least, he got to play with his friend Jackson.
Yeah, could have done it in the front yard. Could have done it in the front yard.
Yeah. And
in the very front yard.
You would have got to stay in your front yard instead of
exactly right.
Walking
all the way down, all the way back. Taylor had a meltdown. Taylor had a meltdown. Oh, it's terrible. Am I the monster?
I'm going to go say yes.
It's unbelievable. Maybe we don't. Maybe we let these kids figure it out a little bit.
Sometimes parents need to be a little uncomfortable just so they can grow a little bit.
The kids need to be. I've been uncomfortable. I live my life in an uncomfortable fashion.
It's good for you to struggle a little bit, Woods.
I'm telling you. Well,
sometimes
we walked.
You need to get out of your house. You can't just can't sit, in your living room and be miserable. You have to get out. You have to struggle a little in order to grow as a parent.
So we walked up, you guys. But here's the weird part. There's a gazebo. And all these parents are under the gazebo, and Hannah elbows. She's like, "Go!" I'm like, "I'm not going. You go." And I was like, "This is your idea." And she's like, "Go do something." I'm
like an episode of Curb.
And I'm like, "I'm not saying a word." So we stand there, kind of rocking back and forth. They're all under the gazebo, and I go, "All right." And I just laughed. Just went and sat on the bench. I was like, "I'm not doing this, dude. This is terrible. What are we doing here?" It's not that I don't want to meet. I figure the way I look at it, Ben, is we have loads of time to meet and shake hands. He's such a nice kid. Blah, blah, blah. Like, what are the forced bit of like, he's already going. It's not contingent upon, did you go to the meet and greets? How many friends did you make? You only made one friend? You're out. You're not coming to school.
Kindergarten is the show. That was foreplay. That was foreplay to kindergarten. That was just a little bit, you believe in foreplay. A little casual start to something before you get into the meat of it. That was your idea. Elisa
says it's more about you having a bad day and not wanting to go. Admit it was. It is, but it all that's part of it. But I ask Hannah, we have these conversations all the time at home, Ben, where I'm like, yeah, he'll be fine. Like, let's let him fail a little bit. Like, let's let them fall down, scrape them. Like, we have those conversations all the time. So you're not wrong entirely.
You've got your defenders in the chat as well who say, yeah, you gotta let your kids be a little uncomfortable from time to time, and it's part of growing up. And
I'm not trying to run a military boot camp. You know what I mean? I'm not. I know that things have changed. But we all picture our dads, right? I picture my dad 40 years ago going, what? A what? A meet and greet. How many? 3? No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing 3. And I don't think he's a bad dad for it. So you're right, though. At the end of the day, it just boiled down to walking my ass down to the park, watching him play with his buddy. He could have done it anyway. I'm obviously prolonging the.
I can't believe you pulled the back in my day. This is who you are now.
This is who I am now.
Guy turns 48 and pulls the back in my day card.
Well, it's true. Back in our days. Remember what we did when we started kindergarten? We just went to kindergarten, didn't we?
We did.
Mom,
Yeah,
said,
I cried. I hated it.
Yeah, I did too.
Mom dropped you off, said, all right, go kick some ass, guy. And you're like, all right, see you later. And you just wear it.
I was in tears the first week. The whole week. Yeah, I could not get used to it.
It is tough, man. It is tough. So if I'm the monster, I'll wear that. I'm learning, man. I want to learn. I want to be better. I want to be great. But that being said, it was. It's so good.
You're gonna make friends and you're gonna like it.
It's so good. You make your own lunch around here. It's so good.
Unfortunately,
Paulie.
we can't do this for 4 hours. We are going to have to get into what happened yesterday and more. We've got a good show coming up for you today.
Do we have a good show coming up for them today? This is the worst day of the year.
Anytime we have Jesse Agnew on, I consider that a good day. Plus a little bonus surprise blast from the past guest that Paulie wrangled up yesterday. Does everybody remember Trevor Rosenthal?
Oh, I loved him when he was here. I did.
I think he was only on the team for like
just a hot minute.
A month.
Yeah.
Like after the 2020 short season trade deadline.
It was like September 1st.
Yeah, they picked him up late, and I loved him when he was there. I remember having him on when we were at the Corona Cave. He's now, I think, retired, right? He's out of the game, so. And, we've seen him kind of tweeting and commenting on things, and Paulie said yesterday, should I call him and see if we can catch up? And I said, yes, I loved having him on. And you got him set up for 9:00 this morning. I have no idea what direction that conversation will go.
Super excited when we were texting yesterday. He's already up and tweeting this morning. He says going live with Ben and Woods today at 9:00.
But he can, he was part of the Padres organization for at least a little bit, and he can comment on what he's seen and the changes that have made even since he's been there.
I just want to ask him, when you got traded here, be honest now, were you stoked to be here? You sounded stoked. And what was it like for you? Because we've seen guys come here not play particularly well. Do you have any insight as to that?
That was, of course, the Jace Tingler years,
Yep.
A little different, but I think there's still some relevant observations that he can make. So that's coming up at 9:00. All of our regular features, Don't Do This, Take on Woods, and kind of an unusual theme for the Daily Ditty this week coming up next. Woods picked songs that you thought were by one artist, and then later realized, no, you had it wrong all along. Paulie, I think, struggled, but he came up with something, so he'll have the pick coming up next as we get rolling here. Glad to have all the tier ones with us on a Tuesday morning. Hey, we're in this together. We're still a family, and by the way, season's far from over, everybody. I know yesterday was not fun, but long way to go still, and Padres are still just 4 games out of a playoff spot. We'll talk about all of it coming up. Let's get our first check of traffic, though, with Kelly. And then off and rolling until 10:00 this morning with Ben and Woods and Paul on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Oh, I'm confused. All right, hold on.
So am I.
Welcome back, Ben and Woods 97.3 The Fan. So the theme was songs that you thought were sung by somebody else. I'm assuming you thought this was CCR.
You're telling me it's not?
Who is it? I don't know. I guess I kind of thought it was too.
What a great one, Paulie.
Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress.
By
We
Mitch,
all
is it
know
Mitch
this song.
Ryder?
No. The Hollies.
Huh.
Never heard of them?
Especially that beginning, dude. You're like, oh, hell yeah.
Like,
CCR.
you're telling me that's not CCR.
Sounds like singing. I mean,
I even remember the first time I heard this song. I am almost positive I was, I don't know, 9, 10, 11 years old. It was at the in the theaters. It was on the soundtrack for Remember the Titans.
Yeah.
And,
the Hollies.
which is how I learned.
I've heard this song my whole life.
too.
I never really thought that much about it, but I think I also just kind of assumed it was
like
CCR.
I was like, it sounds like CCR,
but a little bit
different. But I'm not going to go look up, see who it is. I'm just going to roll with the fact
Hollies.
that it sounds just like CCR. The beginning of that is like, it's identical, dude. Like, so good. I love that.
I want to know. Different band entirely, but I gotta say that it took me an hour to come up with a ditty yesterday.
So sorry.
This may be the worst theme we've had in 2.5.
I don't know.
This theme is
Now,
badass,
all of a
dude.
sudden,
Are you kidding?
I'm loving it because I've already picked mine for tomorrow that I think is a dead-on winner of this contest as well.
It's so good.
Again,
It's
if you're
so
just
good.
joining us, the theme this week are songs you always thought were by one band and then eventually found out, no, it's not by that band at all. It's by a completely different band. So
I guess I don't know if it's a product of growing up in the age of the internet and having Spotify since I was a teenager, but I've never like heard a song. I can just go, oh, let me Google who this is. I've never heard a song go, oh, is this Green Day? Yeah, it must be Green Day.
It is
no, it's
different.
the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
There, between when Woods and I grew up and when you grew up, there was definitely a change because not just Spotify, but now on your radio, you get usually it pops up like the song and the artist. You see it if you're listening in a lot of places. When we listen to the radio, I mean, unless the DJ came on before or after and said,
yeah, you're screwed.
You know, that was so-and-so by so-and-so. You didn't learn, and you didn't get that out of the lot, I can remember growing up. So you didn't really learn who they were. You just sort of felt along and got a sense of who you were lilistening to at some point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is a different era sort of.
Because now when I want to listen to something, I type it in. I know who it is, and it would give me a lot of trouble. I hope you lose. Take on Woods 3 times this week, so I don't have to make another selection.
A guy just DM'd me one I had forgotten about. By far the number one most confusing song of all time. By far.
Okay.
And
I feel like I've got one tomorrow that's going to be right in line. But
we've delayed the inevitable long enough.
Fascinating topic this week. Yeah, we will. We will talk about. I think the story that everyone seems to be talking about, and don't do this today. That's the Baltimore Orioles broadcaster Kevin Brown's suspension. So don't worry, we are going to get to that story because I thought it was one of the most shameful, despicable things I have seen.
What don't we know
from a baseball organization? It doesn't even make sense.
What's worse,
the
blowing
Orioles,
a 5-run lead to the Dodgers, or what the Orioles did?
What the Orioles did. What the Orioles did stains you for months, if not years.
I'm stained fully by what Seth Lugo did yesterday. I'm stained.
We'll talk about what did Seth Lugo do yesterday. Was he?
I know what he didn't. I know what he didn't do.
Were the Dodgers picking up on something? There was a dispute about that in the game yesterday. It certainly went 3 great innings, and then all of a sudden, I don't remember seeing a guy go from looking like he was completely locked in to as lost as Seth Lugo looked in as quick of a time as what happened in the game yesterday. We will talk about it. Our Padres wrap up, get the highlights of yesterday's 13-7 loss to the LA Dodgers. Go into some of those numbers as well.
I mean, if you got up to go make a sandwich,
you're done.
Yeah,
you might have missed.
There were people that said,
"What the hell?"
You might have missed 13 runs if you had to leave the house for like 10 minutes to run an errand. Padres score 5, Dodgers score 8. You're going, what happened?
Yeah. I mean, guys, like
game?
I stepped out to take a meeting. on the phone. I came back in. We're down. I'm like, welcome to hell, my friend. Welcome to hell.
The segment of Ben Woods brought to you by the Golf Mart. Back with our Padres wrap up next with Ben Woods on 97.3 The Fan. All guests on Men of Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. I will take my share of the announcer jinx blame for yesterday.
Bad.
I hyped up Seth Lugo yesterday. Said I called him, I believe, the most underrated member of the Padres.
It works the opposite for me. I crap on like Matt Batten, and he goes out and gets 3 hits.
That's true.
So it's weird that we have different jinxes.
I will say,
whose is worse?
Yours
is worse.
I think
Through 3 innings,
hype up Nick Martinez and you start crapping all over.
Yeah.
Okay,
quickly.
All right.
I mean, through 3 innings, I was like nodding at my own level of brilliance. Yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Quietly goes in, 10 bat, 3 innings, faced 1 over the minimum, shut out, and now the Padres stake him to a 5-0 lead. Felt about as confident as, it's hard to feel that confident against the Dodgers.
Let me ask you one thing. And then what happened?
Yeah, then what happened?
Well, we'll find out. If you've been under a rock for the last 24 hours, you will find out in our Padres wrap up. It is coming up right after this check of traffic on 97.3.
I don't want to do it.
I
I don't want to do it.
From the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by the all-new Premier Buick GMC of Carlsbad. Well, in the North County, they cleared that accident south on 15 near Deer Springs Road, but further south, just past the 56, got a 2-car collision over to the right shoulder. Also still clearing an accident in Balboa Park, south 163 at the northbound 5 connector. That's over to the right shoulder. Premier Buick GMC of Carlsbad with all new 2023 GMC Sierra 1500 elevation package trucks, $4,000 off MSRP, over 15 in stock to choose from. Stop in or shop online at carlsbadbuickgmc.com. A proud member of the Premier Carlsbad family of dealers. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's a shame if they lose.
You can visit Pity City, but you can't live there.
Oh, it's been a great day today. Can't wait for more.
Hey guys, it's Woodsy live from the Crapper again.
Did you miss any of the Padres game yesterday?
Cancel the parade. That's why you play the games.
Oh, God, here we go.
It's the Padres wrap-up with Ben and Woods.
Slam Diego? More like fail Diego.
Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino, fun above all else. On 97.3 The Fan.
I just felt the way that the roster is built, they would have to outscore their opponents to win.
3 in a row. Campusano steps into this one. In the air to deep left center. Outman to the wall watching. Gonna go! 2-run home run, Luis Campusano. And the Padres in front of the Dodgers, 2-0 here in the third. And Fernando swings, hits it in the air to left center field. He has found the gap. Grisham going to score. Kim's right behind him. Fernando standing at second, a 2-run double. And the Padres lead it 4-0. Now the pitch, and Peralta hits it sharply down the right field line. That's a fair ball. Choi had no chance to get there, goes all the way around into the corner. Freeman has scored. Muncy will be held at third base. RBI double for David Peralta, and the Dodgers are on the board. It's 5-1 here in the fourth. Here's the 1-0. Hard hit in the air down the right field line. That is a fair ball. Going to pop up against the Petco boards, bounces away from Fernando. Both runs will score. Hayward at second base, a 2-run double, and just like that, a 2-run game. 3-0, here's the pitch, and that's hit in the air to very deep left center field. Grisham is back. He looks up, going to go. Grand slam, Mookie Betts. Dodgers have very quickly erased a 5-0 deficit. They lead 8-5. Kike Hernandez leads off, swings at the first pitch, and hits a slider deep to left. Soto is back at the wall. This one going to go. Home run, Kike Hernandez, his first back with the Dodgers. And on the first pitch of the 6th inning, LA extends their lead. It's 9-5. Now the 1-2. Kim swings, pops it up. Right side of the infield, Freddie Freeman about midway between first and second on the dirt, makes the catch, and the ball game is over. Padres get 1 on Campusano's second home run of the day, but the Dodgers take 3 out of 4 here at Petco Park, and they put a bit of an exclamation point on it here this afternoon. Coming back from a 5-0 deficit to win this game, 13-7.
I was a bit of a surprise. I mean, he was pitching great leading up to that. Like you said, we just scored 5. Get some hits, got to give him a little rope. Obviously, it was going to be his last hitter as far as bets goes, and then it's a grand slam. Next thing you know, it's an 8-run inning. So, look, I obviously don't feel great about it, but up until then, he was pitching great, and then there were some balls up in the zone, and all of a sudden they were getting good swings on him.
Bob Melvin certainly taking his share of criticism yesterday for leaving Seth Lugo in to give up 8 runs there in the 4th inning, all in the span of 1 out, as they quickly go from 5-0 ahead to 8-5 behind in a 13-7 loss yesterday to the LA Dodgers. And got a lot of thoughts on this one, Woods. The first one, though, for me was simply the difference between Sunday and Monday. On Sunday, when the Dodgers go up 6-0 in 2 innings, you don't feel the sense of hope and like, hey, anything can happen. It's time for us to go on a big rally and come back and put up some runs and take the lead, or at least make it close. Feels like the game is over. The other way, when the Padres get up 5-0 after 3 innings, it feels like the Dodgers are ready to come right back.
Yeah, you're edge of your seat with a 5-run lead. I was not confident with that 5-run lead.
It is the difference between, I think maybe the stark difference between the two organizations, especially over the last many years, in which outside of the playoff series last October, the Dodgers have absolutely dominated these two teams. And, for whatever reason, the Dodgers have felt more relentless than the Padres.
They're very comfortable. Very comfortable. Love to hit at Petco Park. Love it.
They hit well a lot of places, not just Petco Park.
Oh, they hit really well at Petco Park.
They have done very well at Petco Park and at Dodger Stadium against the Padres as well. Yeah. That is the 12th consecutive regular season series.
It's killer.
That the Dodgers have taken from the Padres.
You'd think at some point the players would get sick of it. You'd think that they would.
Oh, I'm sure they're sick of it.
You think that they would do something about it?
I don't know. That's,
at some point.
That's the thing with baseball. Can you do anything about it?
Like you're getting kicked in the nuts over and over, and you're like, I love this. Let's just keep doing it.
When a team has your number, how do you stop them from having your number anymore?
I don't know. I mean, bully punches you in the face every day for 6 months, or in this case, how many years?
13 consecutive years the Dodgers have won the season series from the Padres.
Yeah.
They are 152 and 72.
Punch back.
Over the time.
Punch back.
Dodgers didn't punch you, though.
Punch back.
The Dodgers are simply doing what they're supposed to be doing.
They punched you. They punked you. They threw at you. They threw at your superstars. What'd you do?
Not yesterday.
No, but 2 days before. What'd you do? Nothing. You did nothing. For me, I would hate getting beat by that team.
I mean, I love the statement. Go out and take a 5-0 lead. That's exactly what I wanted to see the Padres do. Go out, score some runs against Tony Gonsolin, who had done very well against the Padres in the past. Get a big lead, get the series, split it. I mean, that's all I was looking for yesterday. That was the statement I was looking for, and the Padres came out looking like they were going to make it. And then the 4th inning happened.
Listen, the Bob Melvin faction of our fan base that wants him fired is probably going to get their wish at the end of the year. I would imagine.
I don't think so.
I do at this point. I mean, and
I don't.
If they don't make the playoffs, I think he
I
probably
don't
loses
see.
his job.
I really don't see a universe in which Bob Melvin takes the blame for this.
Oh, I mean, I don't either. You know that I'm on team Bob Melvin. That being said, someone's going to have to fall on the sword at the end of the year if this team continues. How many games we have? 49 games left.
Correct.
We are in the 40s, by the way, of games left. That's about as dire as it gets. It in the 40s is wild. After all this, you're only what? You
4
lost
games back. You lost the game yesterday.
You lost the game.
Unbelievably, they lose 3 or 4 to the Dodgers. I think they got closer in the wild card race over the last 4 days.
I mean, and somebody in here says Bob Melvin's not the problem. Look, I agree. I love Bob Melvin. I think he's great. And I think, the Padres make on average an NLCS in their history, they make an NLCS about every 18 years. Did we decide 18-ish years? Close.
Yeah, about that on average.
Canning the guy in the second year after that doesn't make sense to me. That being said, there's something going on where is this team not playing for him? Are they not playing for each other? Does that ultimately? I thought a lot about this last night because I was defending Melvin's decision to leave Lugo in. It sucks. Yeah, you look back and go, bro, how are you going to leave a guy in to give up 8 runs? How? And then I thought, well, Mookie, you'd K'd him up twice. You feel like maybe he can get back here, get this out. Also, you think, well, who's he going to go to? You got to cover these innings. Barlow's been a complete bust.
All right, let's go through that 4th inning.
But quickly, my point was, I thought a lot about him. I thought a lot about leadership. I thought a lot about the buck stops here type scenario. If the team ultimately isn't playing well, it's on the players. Yes, but they're not going to fire the majority of the players. The players will be here. So the manager is usually that guy that falls on the sword. Would that be deserving for Bob Melvin? If at the end of the day, the results aren't where you wanted them to be, I'm sure he would blame himself. But again, what do you have?
Doesn't it make sense to you? And I think everybody in the organization, from Peter Scheidler on down, including AJ Preller, and the players know this, that if they fire Bob Melvin, whoever they get to hire won't be as good as Bob Melvin.
I feel the same way.
I don't think they can find a guy who is a better manager out there. Maybe they can find someone up and coming and develop them, and 3 or 4 years might be the greatest manager in history. They won't give him a chance though, because no manager has gotten that opportunity. So you're going to say AJ Preller go and hire another manager? To me, that makes no sense. I think the only way you change the manager is if you change the general manager and the new general manager wants to hire his own manager. Yeah. That's the only way that I see a change coming this offseason. You don't think
the Rangers AA bench coach is the answer to all our problems?
I do not. I do see a scenario where Bob Melvin steps down and says, you know what, I had a good run. I didn't like how this season went. I'm not happy with myself, and I'd like to move on and retire. I can see that scenario, but I can't see AJ Preller issuing a statement announcing Bob Melvin has been relieved of his duties without me just laughing. I would laugh. That's a joke.
I would laugh
That's
too.
An absolute joke.
I would think that it would be baseball malpractice. But again, at the end of the day, if the results aren't there, is Bob, how do you guys feel that Bob is managing right now? I do feel like he's managing a bit scared. I do feel like he's managing a bit hesitant. There's an opportunity, Ben, and I thought a lot about this last night, and I'm a Bob Melvin fan. Hindsight is so easy to manage with hindsight. It's the best. So easy. I'm a world-class hindsight manager. You had a chance to use Josh Hader in a big spot the other night. Now, is that on Bob Melvin or is that on Josh Hader? Will Josh Hader throw 4 outs? Will he get a 4-out save? Do we bury Bob Melvin for burning him in game 1? I don't know. All I know is you have to make strong moves to win ball games. And it hasn't happened yet. He still has innings to cover, though. That's what we never think about.
Can we go through the 4th inning just quickly? Because I want tier ones and people who are critics of Bob Melvin to kind of go on this journey with me. Okay, so you start the inning, you're up 5-0, and Seth Lugo has been cruising, correct? So you're not thinking about getting anyone up in the bullpen as of yet. You got a bullpen day tomorrow. You're probably hoping for at least 7, if you can, out of an efficient Seth Lugo in that game, if all things go well. And so far, things have gone well, correct? Right? No one disagrees with anything yet.
7 from Lugo?
7 innings is what you're hoping for, probably?
Yeah.
You need to get the win, but ultimately, you got a bullpen day the next day. All right.
Here's Bob yesterday, real quick.
With Nick starting tomorrow, we're going to have to cover a lot of innings, but once we got Wilson up, we weren't at the point where he was ready yet. So he's going to be ready for the next guy. 4 runs are in. Next thing you know, it's a grand slam. Now all of a sudden it's 8 runs. So that was the thinking.
All right. So the inning starts, and Freddie Freeman singles on the second pitch to center. Doesn't hit it hard, but kind of bloops one. Good hitter. Gets a knock. Second batter, Will Smith, flies out to center on the second pitch. So, you getting the bullpen up yet? No, of course not.
No.
You got 1 out. Third batter is Max Muncy. Looking at the ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, all in the zone, all called balls on Max Muncy. Strike 1, strike 2, and then another ball in the zone. He got squeezed on every ball in that count and walks Max Muncy. Not really Seth Lugo's fault. That's bad umpiring behind home plate. But it's going to happen. Okay, now you got first and second. Are you getting up the bullpen at that point?
No.
I don't think so.
I'm not either.
All right, so Peralta's next up. Foul ball, second pitch, ripped for a double. All right, well, that's too bad, but you get – all right, next batter is Hayward. Second pitch, ripped for a double. All right, it's concerning, but this is now – that's a span of 4 pitches.
5-2?
It's now 5-3
5-3
at that point.
I may start getting somebody hot.
Okay, all right. So then the next batter is Kike Hernandez. Another
righty
full
matchup.
count, another full count
count
walk. Another time he got squeezed on. According to the one I'm looking at, 3 of the 4 pitches again got squeezed on a walk, but was hitting the corners, was dotting the corners, was just not getting the calls.
I will say, Bob doesn't make the move that will cover his own ass. He doesn't. He sticks with guys because he's also planning for the future. And again, Ben, and I tweeted it yesterday, 6 and a third innings.
But
hold on, 6 and a third innings in 2 days from your starters. With a bullpen day, the day after that, you're effed. I don't care who you are.
And at that
You're
point, I believe Steven Wilson gets up. He walks Kike Hernandez. I'm still thinking Seth Lugo can get out of this. 3 pitches later, Outman bloops a single. Thought the Xander Bogaerts going to catch it. That's unlucky.
That bleeder.
Okay, now it's 5-4. 2 pitches later, you get and then Mookie's up, and then it's the grand slam. I mean, at what point? I just don't feel like there was any time for necessarily someone to get completely warm where you would have logically said, it looks like in 4 batters we're going to need someone. I mean, you don't want to be getting up bullpen guys in the 4th inning of games where you already know that you're trying to avoid the bullpen and wasting bullets.
I know what you're saying.
To me, I think any experienced manager is going to handle that inning the way Bob Melvin did it.
Look across the field at Dave Roberts. Gonsolin was getting his ass kicked. Stuck with him, gave up 5 runs, give his offense a chance, and next thing you know, they leave Gonsolin. He gives them 3 more innings after? What did Gonsolin go yesterday? 6? I mean, that's what you want. You give your starter a 5-run lead. It's his job to effing hold it. Hold it. I get it that they're good. Hold the lead, man. You got screwed by the umpire, so what? Make a better pitch. People are tired of the excuses.
And Seth Lugo made some bad pitches, especially after that last walk. Left the one up to Rojas. Outman singled, then Rojas singled, and then the Betts 3-0. You fall behind. Obviously, you're trying to, avoid Mookie. You put one in there 3-0. Maybe you should have just walked him and taken your chances. But then Freddie Freeman's up. So I don't know that could possibly be pinned on Bob Melvin.
That's a good point. A guy in the chat says, it's easier to manage when you're in first place by a mile. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But they have been without pitching most of the year. The Padres have had starting pitching, then the bullpen falters. And now that the starting pitching falters, what do you do?
So we're going to come back. What happened between the 3rd and the 4th inning? Seth Lugo had his thoughts. We will hear from him and what he had to say about the Dodgers possibly picking something up in that 4th inning, and what the Dodgers had to say as well. That's coming up next. Take on Woods as well on 97.3 The Fan. I don't know. For those still angry about Bob Melvin's managing yesterday, so, you wanted them to go to the bullpen that's been struggling even earlier.
The bullpen's horrible.
It just, to me,
horrible.
That doesn't make a lot of sense either.
Listen, again, there's already in the chat, Padres flagship being soft on Bob Melvin. Bob Melvin has not gotten the job done this year. You know why? Look at their record, okay? I think any good manager would say, it's on me. I did it. If our ratings go to crap, you know whose fault it is? It's mine. It's mine. You know whose fault it's not? The listeners. It's my fault. I did it. There's something I'm not doing right. There's something I didn't say right. I'm not prepared enough.
Okay, but it's also the players' fault.
100%.
But you can't fire everybody. You can't fire all the players.
Well, they won't. They're not going to. That's what I'm saying.
Then why should you fire the manager?
I don't want the manager fired. Right. I love that guy. And if we end up blowing this and we end up losing Juan Soto and things like that, we deserve whatever punishment we get at this point. I mean, I think it's absolutely
we break Juan Soto and Bob
Melvin. We don't deserve, listen, it's absurd. But I think, Ben, what's going to happen is you're going to see somebody fall on the sword if they cannot turn it around in the last 49 games and make a run.
Well,
because
there's two reasons you fire someone. One, PR. All right. Yeah. The fans are unhappy and you need to show that you're doing something. I hate that reason to fire anyone. I hate the PR reason just to show that we're not asleep at the wheel. We're going to make someone whose fault it is not the scapegoat for a season. I hate that reason. It does happen in sports, but I'm never going to support that decision. The other reason you fire someone is to fix something that you think is wrong with your organization. That one is an absolute legitimate reason to do so. I do not believe that Bob Melvin is what is wrong and is why the Padres are struggling, and thus I cannot support his removal as manager of the team. I just can't.
Was he a bad manager last year when Manny Machado was on an MVP pace and everybody was playing well?
It's the age-old question, and again, I've really thought a lot about it. I see people saying, so if it's all on the players all the time, then what's a manager for? And I go, it's a good point. If it's 1,000% on the players, and in my mind, it mostly is. It's mostly on the players because they're the ones who got to hit, catch, field, throw, run, prepare, all of that, right? There's some responsibility that falls on the organization. If Seth Lugo is tipping pitches yesterday, I think somebody might want to let him know, right? Like, again, by the way, just to be clear, the Dodgers didn't do anything wrong. They did exactly what they're supposed to do. Seth Lugo's lowering his hands when he throws a changeup. Sit changeup. Hands are higher when he throws a fastball. Sit fastball, whatever. Also, if you hang curveballs to the Dodgers, they're going to hit them. So, again, I put it on Lugo for being staked to a 5-run lead and not being able to get out of the third inning or whatever, the fourth. Listen, the manager is unfortunately the scapegoat for a team's lack of success. Has he lost the room? Is that what we're looking at? Did the guy? I've never heard one cross word about him. Now I'll tell you this: I have heard players at players' throats. I've heard all kinds of other things. I've never heard a player say Bob Melvin's effing clueless. He has no idea what to do. Never once.
I have heard it about the last two managers.
I have heard it from players about the other two managers. Yes, I've never heard it about Bob ever. So all I can go on is what I go on.
By the way, I've also heard that there is no real problems in the clubhouse.
Right.
I've heard that a number of times as well.
Which makes it worse.
As much as we're all looking for something to explain what's going on, there must be a chemistry. There must be friction. I've also, there has been some rumors. I've also heard strenuously people who are inside the clubhouse and not people who are defending their own butts go, honestly, everyone really likes each other.
Everyone walks around like scratching their heads.
Yeah, getting the job done.
And that's it. And it sucks. If we knew that this was like the White Sox organization, then we could come in here today and say, fire him, clean it out of the cultures. They don't know. They also don't know. So it's really, really tough to pinpoint. I will say this. I'm not being soft on Bob Melvin. He needs to make stronger moves, though. Even if it kills him. You can't get any worse. Josh Hader, I'm sorry, man. I need you for 4 hours. Go Go do the job. I need you for 1 out. I need you to get Hayward in a big spot. And then I'll figure out the 9th. If you can only go one batter, make a little bit stronger moves, honestly, to cover your own ass. But I understand his reticence to pick up the phone and go, give me Barlow, gas can. Give me Honeywell when he was here, gas can. Give me Garcia, gas can. Give me Tim Hill when he was healthy, gas can. On and on down the list. Who do you go to that you can absolutely count on? Couldn't go to Nick Martinez yesterday. Know why?
Well, he went to Suarez
today.
He went to Suarez, and he's getting blamed for that.
He went to Suarez in the 8th inning, gave him a clean inning. Didn't work out.
Alexis Steve in the chat says, Ben, quit making excuses. He's the one leading the ship. Don't do this. He's never prepared. Never. I couldn't disagree more. I think Bob Melvin is ultra prepared for every single game. I just went through the 4th inning. I'm asking you, when would you have gotten the reliever up in that 4th inning?
Probably the Hayward hit. Probably.
Which is, I think, within one batter later. So, yeah, you think he waited one batter too long.
Sure.
Four pitches before the Hayward hit. We all agreed. Lugo had not done a single thing out of the ordinary.
Well,
remember, he was still cruising and looking great. So
remember, too, everybody wanted to pitch to Hayward the other night instead of walking. Everyone wanted to pitch to Jason
It's tough to
Hayward.
go from this guy looks great and 4 pitches later to say we need someone up in the bullpen immediately. I just don't see that.
It's so tough right now.
Need a contestant for Take on Woods.
Let's go through yesterday's game. Okay. Right. Go through yesterday's game. Can't use Avila. Why? He threw 90 pitches the day before. Garcia, by the way, threw 13 on Sunday. Still ended up using him for 37 yesterday. Probably the most effective Padres pitcher yesterday was Luis Garcia. Steven Wilson, did great. Gave you his normal inning and a third. Inning and 2/3. Fantastic work. Scott Barlow threw 28 pitches, gave up 5 runs. Ray Kerr threw 11 pitches on Sunday. Probably could have used him at some point, but has Ray Kerr earned high leverage stuff yet? Probably not. Nick Martinez, couldn't use him. He's starting the game today. Tom Cosgrove threw 15 yesterday. Walked bases loaded twice. Walked in runners the night before. And Robert Suarez probably was, what is this updated? Robert Suarez threw on.
Suarez and Hader probably were both available
fresh,
yesterday.
Yeah.
But are you going to bring him in the 4th inning?
Right. Yeah. Is Josh Hader coming in the 4th? Is Suarez coming in the 4th?
And I assume Ray Kerr is going to be asked to throw 2 or 3 today
after Martinez.
So he's not available if you're planning on, having any chance to win today's game against the Mariners.
I was talking to my wife about it at the table. She goes, I don't understand. She goes, make me understand. And I said, look, you got 3 1/3 from Rich Hill. That's 3 innings. Okay. That left you 5 2/3 you had to cover for that game, right? Then the next day, Lugo gives you 3. So now you have 6 1/3 innings from 2 starters in 2 days with a bullpen day to follow. Can you go down and call somebody up from the minor leagues? Who? Reese Kinnear's out for the year. Jay Groom's back to being not good again. We traded
Weathers,
traded
Jackson
Wolf.
Yeah.
Is Waldron still here?
He may be up today. I mean, they may need to call someone up still today to fill enough innings.
There are innings to cover and not enough arms to cover them. That's it. That's what it all boils down to.
That's more on the general manager 100%, than the manager.
100%. There are innings to cover and not enough arms and bodies to cover them, while also, could you have used Nick Martinez yesterday, Ben? Sure. Could have put Nick in the 4th to give you 3 innings of length, maybe keep it at a 5-2 game. Sure. Who throws today? Who pitches against the Mariners today? Who knows? I think that's all we're saying. At the end of the day, sure, it's on Bob Melvin for letting Lugo give up 8 runs, I guess. But it's a very simpleton way of looking at it. You have innings to cover and not enough bullets to cover those innings. They're just not there. They don't exist. You can't create them out of thin air.
Let's push back Take on Woods. I want to play this Seth Lugo audio because I teased it, and I think it's interesting because after the game, Seth Lugo was asked whether or not, and the Dodgers, of course, have been well known for being savvy, you can call it, observant, possibly sign stealers, or just seeing maybe a pitcher who tips pitches and knows what's coming. Seth Lugo seemed fairly confident that was exactly what happened in the 4th inning.
Any chance did you feel like they knew what was coming? Yeah. I know now that they did.
You know now, as in you came in and you saw what you were doing.
Yeah.
It happens from time to time. They're pretty good at it. What keeps you from like knowing that at the time, and then when you see it, how is that? You're like, it's like a aha moment.
Well, you try to stay locked in and focused on execute pitches, and some other stuff just slips your mind.
All right. Well, if that is the case, and he said, yeah, I now know, I went and looked and I know I was tipping my pitches. If that is the case, maybe that's where you want to put the blame on the coaching staff, that you've got to notice that before the other team does. Now, the Dodgers say, and I'm not surprised, they said, no, we didn't know it was coming. Why would you ever admit that you picked up on something? You want to keep that as secret as possible. The Dodgers denied it when they were asked. No, we didn't know what was coming. But Seth Lugo felt very convinced after looking at the film he was doing something to tip his pitches, and the Dodgers were sitting on every pitch he was throwing. He also was missing his spots, though. I mean, it was everything that could go wrong that inning went wrong for Seth Lugo. There's no doubt about that, as it unraveled as quickly as it really possibly can.
Yeah, it went so quick. It went so quick yesterday. This team, when they play the Dodgers, they just unravel. They fold every time. It's so frustrating for the fans. I see it. I feel all of your pain, your angst. It's embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing, and they should be embarrassed. It's one thing, man, to say, God dang, we got beat by a really good opponent, man. They're a really good team. They got it together. This Outman kid is very special. Punch for punch, man. We hung in, and I'm fine. I hate it, but I can get behind it and go, you know what? You're damn right. You fought your ass off. You busted your tail yesterday. Blew it, man. 5 runs in the big leagues, even if it's the Dodgers. I mean, you got to hold that lead. You have to. You got to give your team needed that win yesterday, man, and they spotted you 5 runs. And then can everybody here agree? You understand, right? But after going down 8-5 on that grand slam, that would have sucked the air out of my sails so hard. My head would have been between my legs on the dugout, just sick to my stomach. Here we go again. So there's only 26 people that can change the narrative of this season. That's it. I can't do it. Ben can't do it. If we were coming in calling for people to get fired today, that's not going to do it. Manny Machado's not going to hear me on the radio and go, God, I better get my ass together. Woods is really mad. It doesn't work that way. Dill holes. It doesn't work that way. They can change the narrative. That's it.
The season has felt very much like every time the Padres fix one problem,
it's the gum
something
in the dam.
Else. Yeah, yep. Something else comes up. First, it was the Stars weren't producing. Then Juan Soto got hot. Manny started getting hot. Well, the bottom of the order, catching, you're getting no production there. All right, Sanchez. Now
a lot of excuses.
Campusano comes in. All right, then the bullpen had been great. That falls apart. All right, you do some, tinkering. You get Suarez back. All right, that's looking a little bit better. Now starting pitching. All of a sudden, there's the Musgrove injury. Walker's out, and now Seth Lugo gives up a ton of runs. And now it's the next problem. And I will say this, the Padres have bounced back every time. They're going to need, they have.
They take some losses.
They haven't
like
been above 500 in 3 months.
But they bounced back for a game or two.
But they also haven't let it go completely away from them.
That's we're all sitting here still after that absolute horror of a series. Horror, and we're how many
4 games out. They need to make out 1 game every 10 for the rest of the season. Eminently doable. They certainly are very much in this thing, but they once again have to rebound. All right, I want to talk about what happened with Baltimore's announcer in Don't Do This. We're going to focus on that one story. I thought it was one of the more shocking, embarrassing things I have seen out of any professional sports franchise in my entire time covering sports that came out yesterday. I'm still baffled. I can't really believe that no one's denied that it's true, but I almost can't believe that this is the case. We will do that and Don't Do This. We're going to play Take on Woods. We'll bump it back to 8:10. So if you want to play, an opportunity to do so still coming up. Don't go anywhere. More Ben and Woods coming up after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. All right, we will get to Don't Do This here in a second. I think the best point that I just saw made, though, by anyone on this debate about Seth Lugo's fourth inning, our friend Scott Lewis from the Voice of San Diego.
The very handsome Scott Lewis from the Voice of San Diego. Give the guy some credit.
Nice, sweet, kind, handsome,
beautiful
Scott
man.
Lewis.
He says the only problem with your point about leaving Lugo in is that they took him out after the Grand Slam. Why not just leave him in there after that if you have so few options? Yeah, you could have just kept wearing it at that point.
Just say we're punting.
And punted on the game.
I think it's an ego thing. And it's also, you don't want to throw. How many pitches had he thrown in that inning? At that point, it's health. I think it's health. He clearly doesn't have it.
The Grand Slam made it 8-5.
8-5.
I mean, it wasn't like you were 8-5 and then you go 12-5.
What Barlow give up?
I'm not sure that
Wilson came in, gave up nothing.
And
then Barlow came in and gave up.
I'm not sure if they thought Wilson was ready, if they might not have put him in to face Mookie. Now, Lugo had success against
2 strikeouts,
Mookie, the first couple of
like I said, I get it. It sucks. I get it. Nothing is going right. Nothing.
Barlow gave up 5.
In hindsight, if you could have just worn it, I mean, you ended up losing the game anyway. If you could have gotten more out of Lugo, they would have been in better position for today. That is absolutely true, Scott. I will give you that.
Lugo 8, Barlow 5. Everybody else did their job.
Speaking of Scott, he's a watchdog. That's what Voice of San Diego is. I feel like our Don't Do This story, we're going to focus on the one story where I feel like we were all watchdogs yesterday about a wrong that had to be pointed out.
I swear to God, I was waiting for more on this story.
When Awful Announcing came out with this story, and you probably have heard about it at this point, of Orioles broadcaster Kevin Brown, who has been kind of mysteriously absent for the last 3 series from Orioles TV broadcasts, up-and-coming broadcaster, very well thought of in the business. Where has he been? Awful Announcing comes out with the story that Kevin Brown was suspended by Orioles management and likely owner John Angelos over comments he made during a broadcast during a Tampa Bay Rays Orioles game at Tropicana Field. The owner felt like he was being too negative. He was pointing out things that made the organization look bad, and that rose to the level of an indefinite suspension. So the clip was then posted. All right, well, I'm intrigued. I mean, I will be the first to say I don't mind a touch of homerism from my broadcasters. They do work either for the team or they work for the network that's a partner with the team. In the case of the Orioles, MASN is owned by the Orioles. So there's a certain line you got to toe a little bit, especially in that situation. But when they played the clip,
this is like if you're watching a Padres game and you tune in at 6:30 tonight, you'll see Don and Mud in the booth
with a graphic.
Yes,
my mind was absolutely blown. Listen to what he said before this game against the Rays.
You just said the word graphic. That's important because the graphic is, you're hearing the audio here, but he's basically just reading off a graphic that the team gave. It was in the game notes that the team provided.
For the Orioles, Brandon Hyde has felt like this has been maybe the toughest ballpark to play in, but the Orioles have a chance to do something special today. They've already clinched at least a split in the series, winning 2 of the first 3, and they can pick up a series win behind Tyler Wells today. It's been a minute. The Orioles split a 2-gamer with the Rays in June. They had lost their last 15 series here at Tropicana Field. You have to go back to when our now colleague Brad Brock picked up the win in the series finale, June 25th, 2017, the last time the Orioles won a series here at St. Pete. Already got 3-2 at the Trop this year after winning 3 of 18 the previous 3 years combined. It is a stark difference, Ben, and it is not a bad Rays team. It's not like all of a sudden the Rays became slouches in the American League East. They've led this division every day, but now 2. And the Orioles, once again, are back alone in first place.
All right, you heard that right. He was pointing out how the Orioles have turned things around against a team they have historically struggled against and are playing some of their best baseball against the Rays that we've seen in years. And he had statistical evidence with a graphic to back that up. Evidence, as Paulie said, was provided by the team in the game notes and was backed up by a graphic created by the team, the producers, and the graphics people on the television broadcast. A well-planned out, interesting, thoughtful pregame segment.
Yes. When you walk into the press box or anything like that, at any event, by the way, any sporting event, the team provides game notes. It's usually, 9 or 10 bullet points leading up to that game. It's in bold. It'll say, are the tides turning? And then it'll be a paragraph saying, well, the Rays haven't, or the Rays have had the Orioles number for the last 4 years. Here's the numbers that prove that, but Baltimore's been turning it around lately. Like, that is all provided by the team.
I was waiting, like Wood said, for the other shoe to drop. There has to be more to this story.
Yeah,
but
did he beat up an intern or something?
Awful announcing, The Athletic, all confirming from multiple sources that, yeah, this is basically the story, that the ownership was unhappy with those comments and decided to suspend Kevin Brown indefinitely. I just saw this morning that he's expected back on August 11th, but the damage has been done.
Do you want to come back there? Do you want to work there? I mean, that's about as soft can get.
How do you come back on your best behavior either? I would be so snarky. I'd
be like,
it's Kevin Brown. The Orioles are great. The Orioles are fantastic. I know they lost 12-1 yesterday, but they tried really hard.
Well, and that's why this is so short-sighted of the Baltimore Orioles and their owner. I mean, this would be as though Jesse Agler during the playoffs last year against the Dodgers said, hey, the Padres are up 2-1 in the National League Division Series. They're one win away from eliminating their nemesis, who they've struggled and lost the last 12 season series against. What an incredible story. That would be like Jesse getting suspended for saying something like that we all know to be true and we know to be a key element of the story that we're telling in the season.
They showed a graphic on your view on the Padres broadcast yesterday. I think it was before the game. It was Sweeney and Pomeranz. It said, since August of 2021, here are the direct head-to-head comparisons between the Dodgers and the Padres and how many runs the Dodgers have scored and how low the batting average has been for the Padres.
And again, I don't mind a little homerism from my hometown announcers. I mean, I don't want Don and Mud or Jesse and Tony just to be waxing poetic about how great the Dodgers are for the entire broadcast. Would irritate me. I know the Dodgers are better than the Padres and have been better than the Padres.
Enough of that in this town.
I don't need any more of that. But if you can't honestly point out critiques of your own team, how is anyone ever going to believe it when you say positive things that are also true? You have now eliminated the possibility of anyone, not just when Kevin Brown talks, but any of their other broadcasters. Anytime they say something positive now, going forward, as long as John Angelos is still the owner, you're going to just assume, well, they're just protecting their job the entire time. They're just protecting their job. It's so short-sighted by the Orioles. It's such a ridiculous story. The do this part of it. I loved the outpouring. Just team broadcaster after team broadcaster around the league.
Like a doo-doo.
Not constrained by what they can or cannot say, taking the Orioles to the woodshed yesterday. My favorite came from New York Mets longtime television broadcaster Gary Cohen.
During a recent game at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Kevin, during his opening, talked about how the Orioles had trouble winning in the past at Tropicana Field, but that they were doing better this year. That was really all he said. And for that, the Baltimore Orioles management decided to suspend Kevin Brown. Let me just say one thing to Baltimore Orioles management. You draped yourself in humiliation when you fired John Miller, and you're doing it again. And if you don't want Kevin Brown, there are 29 other teams who do. It's a horrendous decision by the Orioles. I don't know what they were thinking, but they've gotten exactly the reaction that they deserve. And it's just a shame because the Orioles are playing so well, and now they've diverted attention from that and now made themselves a laughingstock.
And you heard comments like that on broadcasts, on national shows, people like Scott Van Pelt, Mad Dog, all going off on the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, and like finally when things are going really, really well in Baltimore, just really, really well, they're a really good story. Great young talent, kicking the crap out of their opponents, I mean, just crushing people. And you go and do something absolutely moronic like this.
There's a side angle as well to the story as we wrap it up, that after he was suspended, they had to let him work one series on radio because apparently another one of the Orioles broadcasters was suspended because they didn't wear the proper team logoed apparel during a broadcast. And here's the kicker. The team logoed apparel that they're forced to buy themselves to wear on the broadcast. So
you just gave Adam a great idea. Great idea.
If you want to wear these guys, if you want to wear your own suit, natty, look good, you can't do it. You have to wear stuff that you buy from the Orioles team store yourself to broadcast on the team flagship stations.
I can't wait to ask Jesse Agler about all of this. All of this. I'm sure he knows him.
I'm sure he does as well. And that's Don't and Do This for Tuesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Let's open the phone lines. I know we haven't done
Are you
that
out of
much
your
this
mind?
week. I know. I want to do it. I'm
You're out
ready to
of your
challenge
mind?
people. I see people in
You
our
dropped
chat.
acid before the show, didn't you?
They are, they're challenging my opinions on Bob Melvin. I'll tell you what. You may think that I am, like the Orioles, that I can't say anything negative. I promise you, I have the full backing. Whatever I want to say, I'm giving you my honest feelings about Bob Melvin. I think he's a very good manager. I really do. I don't think he's the problem for the San Diego Padres. You disagree? 833-288-0973. We will talk about it coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And I
Quick tip of the hat to Luis Campusano, who's 4 for 4, 2 home run performance, went a little overlooked in the anger and ire after the 13-7 loss to the Dodgers yesterday. But I wonder if Bob Melvin, even after the G-Man Choi and Garrett Cooper moves, might want to consider still that catcher designated hitter thing he had been going with before the trade deadline, because Gary Sanchez obviously has been hot lately, hitting a lot of home runs, and Luis Campusano has shown, now hitting, I think, over 300 for the season. OPS, approaching 900 at this point. You want to see him in the lineup a bunch as well. I know it puts you at risk when you have both catchers in the game to, possibly lose your designated hitter if someone does get hurt, but I do like seeing those guys in the lineup right now as much as possible, especially when they're both very dangerous right now at the plate.
Indeed.
All right, we've got some callers on the line. Got no idea what everyone's going to say, but certainly talking about the moves from Bob Melvin in yesterday's game, his bullpen usage, his starting pitching, wherever you want to go, 833-288-0973. We'll go to the phone lines after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Folks are doing a pretty good job of staying out of trouble on our freeways. We do still have this one accident, though, in the Santee area, northbound 67 at Woodside. Those vehicles are over to the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Fentonwood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's go out to Dave in Spring Valley. You're going to be first up with us on a Tuesday. Fentonwood's on 97.3 The Fan. Dave, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, bud.
Here's what I wanted to talk about this morning. I want to talk about ticket prices.
Okay.
Padres announced they're raising ticket prices.
That was some fantastic timing, wasn't it?
Right,
I mean, just the timing.
2 consecutive losses to the Dodgers.
Just excruciating
Maybe don't
losses.
do that during a Dodgers series next time.
Yeah.
So when I got my email yesterday telling me to check my invoice, I went up 35%.
Wow.
Yep.
From $31 a ticket, and I'm just in the general population of the stadium, of the ballpark there, but $31 a ticket to $42 a ticket.
I saw, Dave, that the average ticket price increase was 9%, but obviously some are going to be higher than that. Some are going to be lower. Sounds like you definitely were on the worst end of that equation.
One of my good friends hit me up yesterday and said, I just got mine. It's 35%. He goes, I can't do it.
I talked to 3 people, about 30% for all of them.
Yeah. He said, listen, a moderate increase is almost to be expected. And I think you'd be short-sighted if you didn't at least see a moderate increase coming, but I think 35%.
Well, let me ask Dave, what would you think? What do you think is fair? No increase? I mean, do they have to win the World Series? Do you take into consideration the payroll that they've spent on the team, where the inflation just in general in the society in the last couple of years? Where do you kind of come out on the whole issue?
10%. I was willing to pay 10%. Last year, actually the last 2 years, they raised it approximately 10%. But man, they claim they've got this waiting list of people just dying to buy tickets. Well, you know what? You just said it. Maybe some people are going to get that opportunity.
Well, I mean, they will find out. There's always a price point that's too high, that if you set prices so high that no one can pay them.
When you hear moderate, what's a moderate?
In my mind, moderate to me is 5%.
I mean, inflation has run higher than that the last couple of years, just in regular. So if you raised it any less than 8%, you'd actually be lowering ticket prices based on inflation. So I think the
10
kind of the minimum where they said, I mean, and I don't know the math and I don't see the book. So when they say it was an average of 9%, to me, that seems fair. Now,
all that aside,
I mean, I don't know that will we hear from the people whose tickets didn't go up or only went up like 2 or 3%? Because if that 9% number is true, and there are, as you said, and as Dave said, some 35%ers out there, there must be a lot of people who are less than 9% as well.
All that aside, I'm not trying to bury people's feelings about the ticket prices. The timing is what murdered me. And I went, this is one.
Now, did they send them after the win, or did it come? I don't know exactly when it came.
I DM'd a guy and said, hey, when did your deal come? Because I didn't want to go off half-cocked. I wanted right. And he said, I said, what time did you get your email? He said, yesterday, 8 p.m. So that would have been after the loss.
He emailed you yesterday, so it would have
been
Sunday,
right at the end of the Sunday night game that they lost.
That they just got
and Dave
embarrassed.
said he got his yesterday.
National TV. You know how sometimes you schedule stuff and you're like, hey, let's work this week, craft this email, send it out. We'll schedule it for this. That's one of those, in my opinion. Hey, we're gonna wait. We gotta wait. And I understand they got a business to run and a job to do. Reading the room, the timing of it all.
Padres go out and win 8-1 today. Send it tomorrow morning.
Yeah, send it right after the game.
I mean, what's really going to irritate people, and you know it's coming because they have to do it because you can't not plan, is when they're 3.5, 4 games out early September and they send out your playoff ticket invoices as well.
That one's a stinger.
Those will come as well. It happens around baseball.
That one hurts because
the alternative is, all right, well, we're not going to plan for the playoffs, and then if your team makes it, you have chaos once you get to October.
Well,
and
no one has don't make it. You don't get your money back. It goes towards.
Paulie and I learned, we learned that from being season ticket holders. It's a different, in your mind, it's awesome. And then when it comes down to reality, sometimes you're like, hey, all right, this is going to sting. It's going to hurt. But, it's like anything. I knew an increase was coming. Again, that I think the timing was a little bit wrong. Is that the best way to put it?
I think 35% is tough. That's a big increase for certain people. The Padres, in terms of ballpark experience, upgrades, roster, everything, they're putting their money into it.
Yeah.
And you sort of do expect them. Well, obviously they're going to ask the fans to put a little more of theirs in as well. But I think Dave can make a very honest point. 10% feels very fair. 35%.
Well, it
felt like a lot to him.
And like he says, there's a waiting list. So Dave drops out. Apparently somebody else will slide down.
And if the waiting list drops below 0, maybe the Padres will say maybe we went up too high. We'll see. All right, let's go to Alan. You're next up with Ben and Woods and 97.3 The Fan. Hello, Alan.
Good morning.
Hey, bud.
I have two things I'd like to talk about. One is the pitching. All along during the season, I've felt that Baumel and his Niebla should be a little tougher on our pitchers. They walk too many guys as first batters, and it puts us in deep trouble quite a few times. And all you got to do is take 10, 12 of those games that we should have won, and where would we be today?
Walks have killed us. You're right.
We wouldn't be talking like we are, and all the analytics and everything we're going through and all the stress we're all under. We're all under a serious stress on this team right now.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's the one thing. I think it should be a lot tougher. I also Baumel needs a little of Dick Williams inserted into his bloodline. Dick, you might remember, I don't know if you were here in San Diego when I forget what the pitcher was. I don't know, it was Scan or somebody. But he told him, you don't walk that first guy. What the pitcher did was he walked the first guy. Time he came back to the bullpen, went out and took him out immediately. By the time he got back in the dugout, he had a ticket to the minor leagues.
All right. Well, I get it. And I understand what you're saying about attitude and being tougher. So in today's game, he'll get 2 more batters by law. So you can't pull a guy after 1. So that goes away. Somebody tweeted me the Aaron Boone meltdown last night for the New York Yankees and said, this is what Baumel needs to do. He needs to fire those guys up. Look at Boone out there. And the Yankees lost that game 5-1. They're in 4th place. At some point,
Bob Melvin, by the way, has been ejected, I think, the second most behind Boone in baseball this year.
But the thing is like, again, guys need to, you're right. Listen, being tougher on a guy about a wall. What are you going to say? Don't walk this guy. You know what I mean? I like it all sounds good. And getting the guys fired up sounds good.
I looked it up. They have the 10th most walks as a pitching staff in baseball. That's too many.
That's way too many.
385. They have the walks leader in baseball, Blake Snell. They haven't really come back to haunt Blake Snell as that he has the best ERA of any starting pitcher in baseball. But there's a point made. Now, they didn't walk I was actually, when Seth Lugo gave up the hit to Freddie Freeman to start the 4th inning, I went, well, at least they didn't walk him. He made him hit his way on. I really want him to get that first batter out after the 5-0 lead. So the last thing you want to do is give the Dodgers a chance to come right back. And he didn't walk him. He did walk a couple of batters that inning. I did feel he got squeezed on a lot of those calls, but that's part of the game as well. Alan, good call. Thank you. Let's go to Eddie. You're next up with Ben and Woods here on 97.3 The Fan. Hello, Eddie.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey, buddy.
I don't think Bob Melvin's doing his job. I mean, we had an all-star pitcher. He sat on the bench out in the bullpen chewing bubblegum for a 4-game series against the division rival Dodgers.
Yeah, didn't use him once.
Yeah, and, we were at the game yesterday. Lugo put 6 batters on him. Like, what are you putting him in bubble wrap for? Are you waiting for October? Keep him fresh for October? There is no October right now if we don't start winning games.
Well, hang on. You're not suggesting Bob Melvin go to Josh Hader in the 4th inning.
In this case, yeah, he hadn't used him the whole series. And what's he waiting for?
Well,
what's he waiting?
I mean, maybe
there's no major league manager who would have gone to
his
their
closer
all-star
in the
4th inning there.
I don't.
There just isn't. I mean, maybe in a World Series game.
Yeah, maybe in a World Series game,
the
Game 7.
Feel like it's getting away. You might think about that. I just don't see anyone doing that.
I saw a lot of the things of there is no tomorrow. Well, there is, and they play today against the Mariners, and they're still 4 games back.
I do agree.
I get what you're saying.
I do agree with Eddie in that I think we are sometimes too beholden to the closer has to wait until the 9th inning.
100%. How about the 8th inning on Friday?
I wouldn't mind if you're facing the best hitters in the 8th inning and hey, you're going to have lesser hitters in the 9th, that you switch that and you bring in Hader to face, a Betts, Freeman, Smith, or whoever it is coming up. And, who cares who gets the save? Get your best pitcher in against their toughest batters, and then you'll see, if it backfires on you in the 9th inning, I can defend that. If they do that, you rarely see that in Major League Baseball.
I want Bob to make more moves that we can defend him. Like, that is one. If it blows up in your face and somebody says, bro, what are you using Hader in the 8th for? I can say, because the heart of their lineup is right there. You had 4 outs to get on Friday night. And again, he sits there and you go with another option, and it spirals so quickly.
I will agree that because that's how it's always been done is never a great reason to do something.
Sure.
Why did you save your closer for the 9th inning? Well, that's how it's always been done. If there's a better way, I'd like my manager to be thinking about that better way.
Strong moves.
I don't think bringing Hader in the 4th inning is the better way, though, in that situation. Now, I was the first to criticize Bob for never using Hader against the Phillies in those last 3 games and sitting them on the bench. So I certainly understand where Eddie is coming from. Let's sneak one more in. Let's try Lucas. You on the line here on 97.3 The Fan. Hello, Lucas. Yeah.
Hey, bud.
Yeah, what's up, guys?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Well, with Ben, with you guys, what you were saying, Ben, I think a little bit wrong, but not in the way you're thinking. I think you should be going harder on these people that are trying to play MLB manager. I'm only in my mid-20s, and I can tell these people are going crazier than Aaron Boone did last night. Like, this is the guy, like you keep saying, this is one of the best guys available right now. And if these other people that keep calling in, tweeting, Instagram messaging have any better ideas, go and find the name. Like, go up to the players, go to the managers. Like, go find someone and hold a piece of paper and write their name down. Because obviously you think you know what's best, but in my opinion, Bob Mel's doing the best with what he's got, and something with the team, like we keep repeating, something's not clicking, whether it's a culture or something. There's got to be something that's going to turn this team around. Someone will find it, but firing probably the best manager we have in this time frame is not going to be the best idea.
Yeah, I see a lot of, I always ask our audience to, whether it's on Twitter or not. I love a good baseball discussion like the next guy, and I always say, all right, so if not Bomel, who? And here's the ones I get. I get Ozzie Guillen. Ozzie Guillen's been out of managing baseball for a long time for a reason. No one, I mean, he had one interview with the White Sox, I believe, before La Russa, and they said, no, we're not doing this again. Ozzie Guillen in this clubhouse, hey, who knows, right? I see Benji Gill. Benji Gill has 5. He manages in Mexico, and he does a good job. But that's a different ball game entirely. Do we think that Benji Gill will come here and get control of the San Diego Padres? Like, will the manager that's here get full control? I don't know that Bob Melvin has full control, right? And he said in press conferences before, look, I don't stick my nose into the moves that they make above me. He didn't say I don't care, but he said I don't ask about it. They give me players and I use them to the best of my ability. And that to me is just kind of if you want to read between the lines, is saying I'm using what I have at my disposal. So I agree with you fully. I do. A full-throated endorsement. It drives people crazy. I understand. Firing a manager right now is not going to happen. But who are you replacing him with that's going to be better?
Can I also make the argument as we wrap up this hour? And I don't know whether it's true or not. The one you hear most often is that Bob Melvin has lost so many close games. He's held this team back, and they'd be much better off with someone else. Is it not possible also that with the number of gut punches the Padres have taken this season, that Bob Melvin has kept this season from going completely off the rails and then being 20 games under 500 and given up? I mean, how many times do you think other teams, other managers might have just thrown in the towel going, we can't survive this. Everything's against us this year. We're packing it up. We're coming back next year. And yet the Padres have never done that so far. They're not where they want to be, but they also are still in this.
It's so stupid to say, but they absolutely are.
It's possible that Bob Melvin deserves the credit for the steady hand that has kept them from completely
going overboard
on this season. I'm just throwing that out there as, I think, an equally legitimate possibility. All right, we are done with 2 hours. Great calls. Really, I'm glad we opened the phone lines.
Through the roof.
We'll come back, take on Woods, a little delayed, but coming up next here with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Halfway home on a just absolute Tuesday. Today is just a Tuesday. That's the best way I can describe it. It's Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. I'm Woodsy. It's Paul Reindl. It's Ben Higgins. Guy in the chat said these guys are such kiss asses. They did their whole opening segment of the show today. They didn't even mention the Dodgers series. I said, buddy, that's what we do every day. You must be a new listener. And if you are a new listener, we have a lot of new listeners in the YouTube chat this morning. Welcome to the program. Glad you're here. Just for the record, we warm up, we lube it up in our first segment. If the Padres had won 15-1 yesterday, which it looked like they were on the road to doing, we would have still opened the show the way we do. We like to get lubed up, get loose. Rarely do we dive right into last night's game. Just that you didn't know. I'm just educating you in a kind and gentle way. That's our foreplay segment. And we started off like that every day, just kind of shooting the S with each other.
Rip your pants off.
Yeah,
and go
you
to
don't just
town.
run into the room and go, here we go. I mean, some people do. I don't. I like to seduce a little bit. You got to kiss the neck a little bit, a little, and go from there.
I love the tier ones who listen 20 hours a week.
Me too.
You guys
are
every
insane.
second of the day. And if you are there, then you probably appreciate it because we're going to end up talking 3+ hours of Padres baseball the rest of the way.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not, I do see, I understand, I'm only listening for 20 minutes a day. I'd like them to get right to it, but you're just going to have to listen a little bit more because we talk plenty of Padres baseball over the course of 4 hours every single morning.
More than we would like sometimes.
Sometimes,
to be honest,
for sure.
More than we would like to do. So you didn't know. It's not your fault.
No.
So there it
we
is.
also do fun things like Take on Woods. We pushed it back today, but we're going to do it this segment. So if you'd like to be our contestant here in the 8 o'clock hour and have a chance to win a trip to Las Vegas, concert tickets to Kool and the Gang, and you think you know some music trivia, you can identify a song or two, this is your opportunity to call in. 833-288-0973. Go head-to-head against the master over here, Stephen Woods, in our daily trivia game coming up in just a couple of minutes. Call now, 833-288-0973. Sometimes you got to clear out the forest. What's the expression? Can't see the forest for the trees.
You can't see the forest for the trees.
I don't know what exactly that means.
Just as an aside, real quick, it's just popped in my head. So, and I want to get to your forest and trees. There's a spice or a sauce that you use. It's SRI. How do you say it?
Sriracha.
Paulie, the red sauce you put on
Sriracha?
Sriracha. That's how you say it.
How would you say it?
Well, we had about a 40-minute debate.
What it's called.
My wife and I could not.
Sriracha?
I always say Sriracha.
Sriracha. I know that's not right.
And she says, no, she said it wrong, and we were bantering back and forth on how to say it. How do you say it? Sriracha.
Sriracha.
Sriracha. Sriracha.
Kind of slur the SR. Sriracha.
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 That's how I say it.
Is that right?
It's not sriracha.
It's not Sriracha, though.
It's not sriracha.
Sriracha.
You're adding a vowel to a spot where one does not exist.
Isn't it spelled Is it Sriracha?
SRIRACHA. Sriracha.
Sriracha. All right.
It's like two R's there, which is difficult. It makes it difficult. The extra R makes that word.
Sriracha.
It's got the big rooster on the bottle.
Sriracha.
I mean, you can get the knockoff version, but the one with the rooster in the bottle is the one you get.
Sriracha.
They make it up in some big factory plant up in Los Angeles. If you've ever driven by it, have you ever been by the plant?
I don't think so.
The entire area
smells
of like
Sriracha.
Chili's. I mean, you just cannot get away. If you're a neighbor, it must drive you crazy. You must hate that smell more than anything else.
Here we go.
Sriracha.
Sriracha.
You guys nailed it.
Sriracha.
You guys nailed it. I was Sriracha.
Sriracha.
So
Rooster
forest for the trees.
Forest
just
for
for
trees.
a second.
Can't see the forest for the trees.
We can obviously complain about Seth Lugo, the bullpen, Bob Melvin, and all of that is justifiable today. Really what it comes down to, as it's come down to so often this season, is the Padres do well when their stars produce, and they don't do well when they don't. And in this series, the Dodgers stars, the top four in the order, let's just go Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Will Smith, J.D. Martinez, Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts. Numbers here from the UT this morning. In the series, those Dodgers top 4 hitters batted .327, 18 for 55, 3 doubles, 6 homers, went 7 for 14 with runners in scoring position. Padres top 4 hit .188, 12 for 64, 2 homers, a double, 3 for 11 with runners in scoring position. Padres will always need, no matter how much they're getting from Gary Sanchez or Luis Campusano or Jake Cronenworth's heating up and Trent Grisham's got a hitting streak and Ha-Seong Kim's been a great table setter, they need their 4 stars to produce to win the way that we expected them to win. And they did not do it in this series against the Dodgers. And the Dodgers, big guys, they came through in that series. So it's not surprising the Dodgers took 3 out of 4. Ultimately, the Padres are paying 4 guys especially an incredible amount of money to be the rocks, to be the offensive rocks. Juan Soto's had a really good season. Got an OPS of 942. The other guys have had their ups and downs and all have OPSs under 800. To me, 800 is a pretty big benchmark. If you're over 800, you're an all-star, you're an elite producer. You're under 800, you may not be bad, but you are not where the Padres need them to be. And Bogaerts, Machado, and Tatis have not been where the Padres need them to be. Tatis is slumping. Manny's cooled off. Bogaerts has just never totally got it going. You know, he gets some hits, but his average is okay, but the power numbers, the RBI numbers aren't there. Those guys, if you want to know a reason why the Padres are 3 games under 500 and not 10 games over 500, those are the 3 guys right there to me.
I'll tell you, though, and you know, I hate to be the boomer take, but at this point, I when the lineup came out yesterday, I did go again. We're doing this again. Like, at what point does it make sense to jigger it a little bit? You can't. It's not a panic move. Like, it's not. By saying, "Hey, Xander, you know what, man? The double plays are costing us a little bit. We're gonna move you around." Now, Xander Bogaerts shouldn't be hitting in the 7 hole or anything like that. Nothing egregious. He's earned the right to hit in the top 5. You know, but it is okay to mix and match. And I know you want to get guys comfortable. I think the only guy locked into his position right now is probably Ha-Seong Kim, who continues to hit really, really well. But other than that, man, like let's move it around a little bit. Let's see if picture this: Ha-Seong Kim in the leadoff spot. Gets a knock, steals second base. There's Xander Bogaerts. Can't hit into a double play there. Then there's Juan Soto in the 3. Then there's Manny in the 4. How about Tatis in the 5? I like Tatis hitting higher to figure this out, but you know what I'm saying. At some point, you can move this around a little bit to see if you can't get
there
some
was
guys
a lot
going.
of movement early in the season, especially when Tatis was out.
You had injury. You had wrist from Xander. You had Manny slumping terribly. Like, guys are starting to hit a little bit. What is the best combination for them to do?
We waited so long for the bottom of the order to start producing, and now, you know, those guys generally are.
Both your catchers are producing. It's just
this is when the Padres should be unstoppable, and unfortunately, some of their key guys now are not producing, and it's keeping them from really exploding. I mean, other than the 7-run inning, it was a struggle for the Padres. They got some runs on the board, sure, but those main guys, you know, didn't come through when they needed
the guys
to.
Came through yesterday and put up a 5 spot off the Dodgers starter. They did. And
mostly the bottom of the order there. I know Tatis came through with the double.
Yep.
You know, and he's had some bad luck as well. That one came, you know, hit that one well, and it fell in at the right time.
I mean, the productive outs I saw yesterday were fantastic.
Juan Soto moved a runner over, get
Manny,
a sacrifice fly for Manny.
Yeah. That's a ball game you need to win with a 5-run lead. Seth Lugo's got to do a better job at figuring it out. I know it's hard. I know it's really, really hard to do, but that's one you got to kind of, you know, you got to kind of grit it out and figure it out. I mean, they're a good team. I understand all of that, but man, you got them on the ropes a little bit, 5-0. You got their starter rocked, and you know, that's what happens. It's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow.
All right,
I hate it.
Better late than never. Let's get to it. Let's play a little take on woods. All right, we got Ed as our contestant today. Ed is going to be playing for a chance to win a trip for 2 to Las Vegas at the Las Vegas Westgate Resort and Casino, plus 2 tickets to Kool and the Gang. Going to be residencying at the Westgate through 2024. You can get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. Also, check out their $70 million in room renovations. Home of legendary Vegas fun. It is the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. All right, Ed, it is your game to play. Woods has left the studio. How you doing this morning?
Hey, I'm doing great, man.
All right, you get to pick our category in our musical trivia contest. We've got the Bible Belt, songs with southern states in the title. So Long Farewell, those are songs with the word goodbye in the title. And our new category, Brothers in Arms, those would be famous bands of brothers. So the Bible Belt, So Long Farewell, or Brothers in Arms. Ed, what would you like to play today?
Well, in honor of the wilting season of the Padres, I guess I'll take So Long Farewell.
So Long Farewell. Goodbye, Auf Wiedersehen. Yeah, today's category features 5 song titles that all include the word goodbye. You'll have 60 seconds to answer as many as you can. You can pass. If there's time left, we'll come back to it. First question, our 2-second song. Paulie will play some music. You need to give me the title of the song and the artist to score the point, and then we'll go on from there. Then Woods comes in. He does the same 5, and we compare. Ed, are you ready to play?
I'm so ready.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music in the category So Long Farewell. Good luck, Ed. Let's take on Woods.
Supertramp.
Correct. What's the song
Name
title?
the song.
Pass.
Bernie Taupin writes about his desire to leave Oz and get back to the farm in which classic 1973 Elton John hit.
Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road.
Correct. Technically, the band Steam didn't even exist yet when a group of studio musicians recorded which 1969 hit with a title that begins Na Na Hey Hey.
Na Na Hey Hey, goodbye.
Not quite. Bon Jovi sings You and Me and My Old Friends, hoping it would never end, in which 1986 song from their Slippery When Wet album.
Pass.
A Crappy Purple Scion is just one of the ways she meets her demise, in which 2012 song from Train. We'll go back to our 2-second song. See if you can come up with a title. You got the band Supertramp.
Yesterday.
Goodbye, Stranger. It's been nice. It was Goodbye, Stranger. You did get Goodbye at Yellow Brick Road. It's Na Na Hey Hey Kiss Him Goodbye by Steam. Hear that at used to hear that at arenas all the time. Never Say Goodbye by Bon Jovi, and 50 Ways to Say Goodbye by Train. That was a tough one. Who knows? One might be enough. Hang on the line, Ed. We'll see. You need to at least tie Woods. He doesn't get the category either. Makes it even tougher for him. We'll reset everything. 60 seconds back on the clock. Woods, your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck. Let's take on Ed.
Supertramp. Goodbye, Stranger.
Correct. Bernie Taupin writes about his desire to leave Oz and get back to the farm, in which classic 1970.
Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road.
Correct. Technically, the band Steam didn't even exist yet when a group of studio musicians recorded which 1969 hit with a title that begins Na Na Hey Hey.
Pass.
Bon Jovi sings You and Me and My Old Friends, hoping it would never end, in which 1986.
Never Say Goodbye.
Correct. A Crappy Purple Scion is just one of the ways she meets her demise, in which 2012 song by Train.
What the hell's the name of that song? Meet Virginia?
No, it's not.
Oh.
Technically, the band Steam didn't even exist yet when a group of studio musicians recorded which 1969 hit with a title that begins Na Na Hey Hey.
Na Na Hey Hey. Goodbye.
That's what he said too. It's Kiss Him Goodbye.
Oh.
But you did, by a 3-1 score, pull out the win
Hard
today.
as hell. Holy crap. What was the category?
So Long Farewell. It's Goodbye was in every answer.
Oh,
Goodbye,
okay.
Stranger. Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road. Na 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 Hey Hey. Kiss Him Goodbye. Never Say Goodbye. And the last one was 50 Ways to Say Goodbye.
Don't know that one.
Yes, you do. By Train. You must have played it on the radio.
I didn't play Train. We didn't get that bad.
You didn't even get to play Train?
No, it didn't get that
in 2012?
bad. No, it did not get that bad. It
Fire
got
up.
close.
I'm going to cue up Elton John before you ask me to play that Train
Play
song.
that Train song. Or play that Na Na. You know the Na Na Hey Hey.
I
Kiss Him
don't.
Goodbye.
Sing it for me.
Na 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 Na.
Oh, I know that song. Hey, hey, hey.
Goodbye.
I didn't know it was called.
That's Na Na
What's the
Hey Hey.
Train
Kiss Him
song?
Goodbye. 50 Ways to Say Goodbye. We'll
I
play
know.
it for you during the break.
I know that.
We won't subject you to it on the radio. I'll play it for you during the break.
I know that 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover song that makes me insane. Get off the bus, Gus. Makes me want to stab someone.
Got some good guests coming up. Jesse Agler, the Incorporator, coming
No
up.
need to be coy, Roy.
Trevor Rosenthal, former Padres relief pitcher.
He's just ignoring me at this point. Get on the bus, Gus. Don't need to be coy, Roy. This song kicks ass.
It does. We'll be back with more Ben Woods after traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
Was today a good day?
Today is a different day.
Today is a different day.
Good day so
You're
far.
thinking of yesterday. That was not a great
My
day.
blood pressure is probably higher today than it's been all year. I've been pretty zen, actually, for me at least.
Speaking of zen,
Yeah.
like to see what Jose Ramirez did, trying to reach out and apologize to Tim Anderson. He says he's having trouble getting through to him. The suspensions came down for the brawl yesterday from Saturday. Jose Ramirez got 3 games. Tim Anderson got 6 games.
Okay.
I guess when you drop the glove first, you get a bigger suspension than the guy who reacts and puts you on your butt with a nice right hook, as Jose Ramirez did. But Ramirez trying to, I think, rise above it, be the better man, wanted to offer his apologies to Tim Anderson. I saw that yesterday. The managers both got a game, as did one of the coaches as well. Both players appealed the suspension.
Clase got a game too.
And that's right. Clase got a game as well. Both Anderson and Ramirez appealing the suspension so they can continue to play while they sort it all out. Yesterday, the wild card race, Padres did drop a game finally. After all the days in which they got a ton of help losing, didn't get much help yesterday, although the Mets did beat the Cubs 11-2. Pete Alonso hit a couple of home runs, but
those Angels murdered
the Giants.
us.
Yeah, the Giants
man.
were actually trailing the Angels 3-2 in the 9th, and then scored 6 in the 9th to hand the Angels their 7th straight loss yesterday, 8-3. The Angels in the torture chamber. They are winless since making all their moves at the trade deadline.
That is hard to do.
The Brewers beat the Rockies 12-1. Freddie Peralta, 13 strikeouts in 7 innings, dominating performance. And someone had to win and someone had to lose in the Reds-Marlins game. And once again, it was the Marlins who lost. Reds win that one 5-2. So Padres falling 4 games back in the wild card race. Still, though, 4 games closer than they were on July 18th, which was 3 weeks ago.
Absolutely amazing.
So, at that pace, you gain 4 games every 3 weeks, they'll be just fine.
The universe is begging you to take it. They're begging you to take it. You are so set up to take it by just winning some baseball games. Everything is falling in your favor, and you got to think that the guys in the clubhouse realize that. Like, oh my God, the Diamondbacks are flailing, and this is happening, and that's happening. Like, I don't know, man. It's guy asked me yesterday, do you even want to make the playoffs with this team? I go, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll be gutted if they don't. But yeah, I want to see what happens when everything resets. Man.
I think Joe Musgrove's health will be key. If the Padres do make the postseason, they need that top of the rotation in Musgrove, Darvish, and Snell to be performing. But if they have that, I don't see any team that is not worried about the Padres.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean,
even the Braves, even the Dodgers, they're all going to be worried about the Padres in the postseason if the Padres get there and are reasonably healthy when they get to October. Now, at some point, you feel like the number of games, and I added yesterday's to the list, by the way, 20 excruciating losses. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely on my list of excruciating losses.
That was I call that a wall kicker. That's one where you walk by the door or the wall and you kick the wall.
Sure.
I did that yesterday.
At
Sorry,
some
babe.
point, you feel like that it's going to come back and haunt them. Even if they play well at the end, they're going to be, 2 games out with 4 to play, and you're going, man, there were so many chances they had this season
Lamenting,
that they let slip through their fingers.
Just lamenting some of these horrific losses.
And maybe they won't, and maybe they will overcome it all. But as you keep adding them up and they just keep piling up throughout the season, there really has not been. I mean, I'm going through my list. The longest stretch between agonizing losses this season for the Padres was 2 weeks, between June 30th and July 15th. The Padres actually went 2 weeks without an agonizing loss. And that's the longest stretch they've had all season between games that I consider real gut punches of the 20 that I now consider to be in that category this year.
Yeah, it was a tough one. Very, very tough.
Got 2 in this series. I think both Friday and Monday counted in the agonizing category.
Sunday was pretty agonizing because of the call and then the 3-run bomb.
It was, but when you're down 6-0 early,
that because
even
of the
that
call,
one,
you were down, 3 anyway. So no, they're all tough at this point, man. They're all tough.
So Padres will take on the Seattle Mariners today. As we talked about many times, it's going to be a bullpen day. Nick Martinez will get the start. Bob Melvin's hoping for 3, maybe even 4 innings if Martinez can be efficient, although I don't think you can count on anything at this point. You're going to have to be ready. My guess is Ray Kerr comes in. I don't know. Is Pedro Avila ready to bounce back after just 2 days? He threw a lot of pitches on Sunday.
Man,
I don't even know if he's available. Do they make a move today? Does someone get promoted? The new guy who did he just require? The big tall guy from the Marlins? Reynolds. Sean Reynolds.
Sean Reynolds. Is he ready?
I don't know if he's ready yet or if he's still more of a project to come up later, but
where's he pitching?
He's at AAA.
Is he at AAA?
I believe right now. Yeah.
Call him up.
Or is it Matt Waldron? I mean, is there another arm that needs to be added to the bullpen to get through this game today? Because, best case scenario, you get 4 out of
series. This series. I mean, the series, like you said, best case scenario, 4 innings from Nick Martinez. You're covering 5.
It's a 2-day series. There's an off day on Thursday.
Blow it out. Josh Hader in the 4th, like that
and
caller suggested.
You got Darvish going on Wednesday. I mean, no guarantees ever, but you figure both Suarez and Hader should be available for back-to-back days because they haven't pitched the last 2. So you'll have the back end covered. Gives you 6 even. You should be in good shape tomorrow. It's really today. That's the question mark for the Padres. They need to get 6 innings from some combination of Martinez, Kerr, maybe one other guy. Maybe Cosgrove can give you an inning there, and then get to the back end and try to find a way to win this game today against the Mariners.
Yeah.
Speaking of Seattle, that's where Jesse Agler will join us from as we get our weekly conversation with the voice of the Padres and play the Incorporator always on a Tuesday. What?
We're having a problem here with the computer.
Don't go to break. Okay. We will just remain here then because Paulie is frozen.
Our engineers were doing something.
What a Tuesday it is.
Hang on.
Interesting.
Hang on.
I'm looking up Logan Gilbert's year, Ben.
See what the Jacksonville Jaguars did?
No, I didn't.
This is my emergency material.
This is your emergency material. All right.
So I saw this tweet from Scott Hansen, the host of the NFL Red Zone. So the Jaguars have installed smart urinals at their facility.
Oh, I did see a story about this.
Basically,
like Steve Ballmer toilets.
Yes, but it's so they actually detect whether you're getting the proper hydration when you go to use the facilities, and you go into the urinal. It will actually give you a data readout on your level of hydration, whether you're getting enough water.
Freaking incredible!
It's now they're not cheap. I saw that they put a lot of expense into this.
It analyzes your urine.
Yes, it does. Gives you an instant urinalysis right at the urinal in the bathrooms for the Jaguars. Now, maybe you say this is cutting edge. This is what's going to be lifting a team on the rise up that next level to get to Super Bowl champions.
Because of their urine.
It's all about the attention to detail.
Okay.
Now,
I'm not mad at it.
Now, there's an analog way to do it as well. I saw the Texas Longhorns. They just have a chart at the urinals, and there's different colors of yellow, and they show you if it's this color, you need to drink more water. Wow. If it's this nice light golden straw color, you're hydrating like a champion. And that's a much cheaper way to make sure that your players are getting enough water. That reminds me, I just need to take a little in swig here because hydration is very important, especially when you're trying to lose weight. All right, Paul, can we go to break yet? Almost.
What's the ETA on that?
Hopefully 10 seconds.
Winning time's back.
It is. I watched it last night. It's excellent. All right, let's go to break.
Jesse Agler when we come back on 97.3 The Fan. We're about to head to the top of the Space Needle, where Jesse Agler is standing by to join
that'd be awesome
to talk about the upcoming series against the Seattle Mariners.
That's more Adam Jones than Jesse Agler.
That's true. I assume Jesse is probably comfortably in a Seattle hotel room at this moment.
Probably fresh out of the gym.
Maybe he's at a Starbucks.
Doing a little prep for the game tonight, getting ready for a short 2-gamer against the Padres' natural rivals, the Seattle Mariners. We'll talk with the voice of the Padres right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. We go to our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline, where we are joined by Jesse Agler, and I'm not going to dodge it. I'm just going straight there. Jesse, aren't you glad that you work for the Padres and not the Baltimore Orioles today? Otherwise, we'd be talking about the 4-game sweep of the Dodgers they just had this weekend.
Really bad.
That's
really,
so bad.
really bad. Really, really, really bad. And, I've seen the word disgraceful thrown around describing that situation. That is not generally a word I use every day. That's a pretty big word. You kind of save that for things, and this is an appropriate use of that. I mean, now look, caveat, unless there is other stuff going on, that we don't know about, and that could be the case. Although, if it were, you feel like we would have heard about it by now. The Orioles would have said, hey, by the way, there's actually more going on. Best of my knowledge, they haven't done that. That's really bad. That's really, really, really bad.
Do you know him at all?
No, I haven't met him. We only played him obviously in the past, fairly irregularly. So we see them on the next homestand, and I hope he's there to be able to catch.
I saw a report it's supposed to be returning to the booth on the 11th, so he should probably be coming to San Diego. But if you missed it, I think everyone's seen this story. What seemed to me, Jesse, not only it wasn't criticism, it was context. It was statistical context to actually praise his own team and their turnaround against a tough foe that they've struggled against.
I hope to hear the same speech from you in like 10 years after we finally figure out the Dodgers. I hope you to hear the exact same thing.
I mean that's the equivalent, right? Like if next year the Padres win the season series from the Dodgers, you will hear us say something along the lines of, after 13 straight years of the Dodgers winning the season series, which, by the way, is the record in the divisional era for one divisional opponent winning a season series against the other. The Padres have finally done it, and people will be happy about that because
100%.
It's good news.
Yes.
It's good news.
Yes.
I mean, it's just the most absurd thing ever. And look, there are, as I think people in my business know, a couple of organizations that you got to be a little careful about. And I'm not going to name names, but you just sort of know there are a couple of teams and a couple of owners where you go, I don't know if that's the best place to land. Now, look, these jobs are so few and far between. All of us, are sort of in this position where if there's an opportunity, you got to take it, right? So I'm not criticizing anybody who works for them or any other team, because job is a job. But we certainly are aware of a couple of spots that you got to really sort of go, okay, I know what I'm getting myself into. And that's unfortunate because, again, and you know what the craziest thing is? I usually do radio, but sometimes I do TV. What I think a lot of people don't realize about TV is, I'm talking normal casual fans. When you're on TV, it is a team sport, right? Radio, it's me, Tony, Dave. We basically talk about whatever we want for as long as we want in as many ways as we want. On television, you're really not having many conversations that are not set up by the producer and the director and all the really hardworking men and women who are in the truck, because they got to prepare graphics to go along with it. They got to prepare video to go along with it. This is stuff that literally takes all day to put together before the game starts. So that was like in their game open. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Tropicana Field, blah, 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 blah. That was all pre-prepared, ready to go. And by the way, the statistical information was taken out of the game notes prepared by the Baltimore Orioles public relations staff. They did not go rogue. This was not something they said, hey, we're going to take our shot here.
Yeah.
They were literally just regurgitating information provided by the team. So it's absolutely bonkers to me that this would be something even remotely controversial. But again, there are a couple teams we all know we have to watch out for.
This absolutely killed me yesterday. We are talking to the great Jesse Agler here on Ben and Woods this morning. I went up to see the boys, as I do sometimes when I'm at the ballpark, and I popped in to see Don first, said hello, and then went in to see Jesse and Tony. And then Mud came in. It was great. Just shooting the breeze with the fellas. It was a lot of fun. Wanted to get out of your hair. I said, all right, we got to get this one today. And Jesse goes, no, we don't. We're okay. And I said, no, we have to. We have to get it. And he said, no, we don't. I said, yes, we do. As I'm walking out, it was like a game of last word. I'm walking out the door going, yes, we do. He's like, no, we don't. Yes, we do. No, we don't. Then I'm on Twitter and I see Tony Gwynn Jr., Jesse Agler's partner, colleague of mine, say, if you're living and dying with this team every day, you need a psychologist. I'm like, all right, now I'm under attack. I have been attacked by my own colleague.
Well, Jesse understands the actual meaning of the phrase must win.
Of course he does.
It's overused a bit in sports, isn't it, Jesse?
But by the way, you might have missed it because I don't know what inning it was. I honestly should have texted Paulie. We did like a half inning on how, it is not a day-to-day sport.
I know.
And, that might have been directed at you,
right.
Directly or indirectly. But like, it's a different beast. And I understand, believe me, literally, I understand what it's like to go on the radio every single day and talk about it. But the reality is baseball is not a sport in which you can live and die with every result in the regular season. Now, obviously, look, you get down to the last couple of weeks, you're a game or two out of a playoff spot, something like that. It's not the way this game is set up, and certainly not now with the number of playoff spots available. This team has not come anywhere close to performing to their expectations. And there's 49 games left still, and they're right in the thick of it. We could be having the same conversation a month from now. You know what, guys? We were having a conversation like this last September 15th. Go back middle of September last year. Listen to your shows, listen to our broadcast, probably listen to some of the conversations I was having with you on Tuesday mornings, mid-September last year. And it was a lot of this same hand-wringing and, I don't know about this team. Are they going to make it? What a disappointment. A month later, they're playing for the National League pennant. And I'm not suggesting that that's going to be the case this year because obviously they need to play better. But every single year, all of us, I'll include myself in this, all of us forget how long this season is. And there's still so much left. That does not get rid of the fact that things need to be better. I don't want it to sound like I'm saying everything's great. It's not. They got to play better. There is certainly a little bit of thin ice, it feels like, when it comes to the pitching situation right now because of the Musgrove injury and some other stuff. So I'm not trying to tell everybody everything is perfect. Don't worry. But what I am saying is there is still so much baseball left. We are not anywhere close to being able to live and die with a Monday 110 straw hat game giveaway against the Dodgers.
So how come we get yelled at when we say there's so much more time left?
I know.
And everyone's
It's
just like, yeah,
weird.
Jesse's right.
Jesse
is
says
right.
it in a better way. Jesse Agler, voice of the Padres, with us. We're getting a lot of fans who are criticizing Bob Melvin for being slow on the trigger yesterday and changing his pitchers in the fourth inning, leaving Seth Lugo in too long. I've kind of gone the other way. I think that inning happened really fast, and you get a guy up. And how did that inning play out in your mind as you were calling it, Jesse?
Yeah, I wasn't. I think the bet slam obviously was the big hit of the inning, and that was the one where you go, uh-oh. I think we had sort of gotten to the point where we realized that was going to be his last batter. Like, all right, this is going to be it. You go 3-0, you're not in a place you want to be against Mookie Betts, who's just as good of a hitter as anybody alive right now. And then, it's a worst case scenario in that moment. Even if he walks right there and they go get Lugo, it's like, all right, here we go. But, he provides the blast that pretty much it felt like ended the game right then and there. So, I mean, it was getting ready to be a move, but look, you don't want to burn your bullpen. Obviously, Bob knew what he was facing today with what's essentially a bullpen game in Seattle. And beyond that, Seth Lugo's a guy that's earned some trust this year. Seth Lugo literally in his previous start went 7 innings at Coors Field. I know the Rockies aren't very good, but it's still Coors Field.
Yep.
Not easy to pitch. And he was able to figure that out and work through it. So I think, it's different with somebody like Lugo who's been going the way Lugo has been going, as opposed to maybe somebody else who hasn't earned that kind of trust. And again, you're trying to manage a bullpen knowing that you've got, a pretty big hill to climb here today in Seattle.
No, I agree. It's hard, and obviously managing with hindsight's super duper easy, but there's just there's so many innings you got to cover and not a lot of guys to cover it. And I wanted to see a little bit more of I'd like to see from Bob Melvin when you look at it after the series. Of course, you go, well, there's Josh Hader, and some caller made the point early, sitting in the bullpen for 4 games. Sure, like when you get on the plane yesterday, you go, did I not use Josh Hader at all against the Dodgers in a couple of decently close games? And it's got to be so difficult to know when to make those moves, Jesse. But for me, I'd like to see Bob make more moves to cover his own rear end, from time to time, moves that you can defend, even if they don't work out. It's just about like almost stronger, more confident moves.
So you want to see action for the sake of action? Is that
not necessarily. Like we had a caller say you should have put Hader in the 4th yesterday. I said, well, that's an outside the box way of thinking. I hate to no bad ideas in brainstorming, but a Friday night, and of course we don't know the situation with Josh Hader and what he wants to do and what he's comfortable.
Well, we do know a little bit of it. That's been in the paper.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not going to rehash it directly in this moment, but I think we all do or should have a pretty good sense of that situation.
It's fair. It's fair. Yeah. I mean, it just, the game can get away from you so quick. You saw Dave Roberts, kind of, in my opinion, on the quick trigger. But again, managing from first place is certainly a lot easier to do than when you're scratching and clawing for a wild card.
The other thing is, at some point, and we did see it in the game that they won over the weekend against the Dodgers, the offense has to pick guys up. Getting down 3-0, 5-0, even frankly 8-5 shouldn't be a death knell for a good team. And so look, it's very easy, as you said. You drop 3 out of 4, and what we all thought was a big series going into it. It's easy to point to X, Y, and Z, and there's a million things to point at. But what we saw in the win, what was it, Saturday? 4-game series always mess with my head. The Saturday game, coming back and winning, that's the sort of thing we sort of thought would be happening, I think, on a fairly regular basis this year, and it really hasn't.
Jesse, it's about time for the incorporator. I know Woods has been coming up. I got one if you want.
Do you? Okay, good.
He'll absolutely knock this out of the park. But each week, Jesse Agler gets his crazy vocabulary word from us, and then he works it into that day's game, calling it on the radio with Tony Gwynn Jr. here on 97.3 The Fan. We've tried all kinds of different terms. I'm going to go back to one from the cooking genre because I always like those ones. I think they sound funny in a baseball broadcast. So today's incorporator word for you today, Jesse, is chiffonade.
Oh, I like that.
Chiffonade. It is CHIFFONADE. It means to shred leafy foods such as lettuce or herbs very finely with a knife.
I'm not good at that.
Yeah, I love chefs who can really just quickly chop it all up, and then they chiffonade the herbs.
Yeah, you get all the basil and you bunch it together.
Yes.
Roll it up and bunch it, and then
I know where that comes into a baseball game. I have no idea, but that's Jesse's concern at this point. Chiffonade.
Tune in to find out.
I love you. Thank you for putting the dunce cap on me once again.
It's one of those weird road games that starts at the same time as Padres home games, which always confuses me, but it's a 6:40 start.
Okay, 6:40.
5:40 pregame show here. It's on the West Coast. No one needs to adjust to anything today, Jesse. We'll hear from you later tonight. Thank you so much.
You got it, guys. Good to be out west.
Thank you, buddy.
There he is, Jesse Agler on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visited them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads.
He's just the best. He's the best. You feel a little bit justified when Jesse comes on and echoes a little bit of what you're saying, because he is such a voice of reason. And I do appreciate that from him. I do. Right?
I do as well.
Yeah, I do.
You can't go through as much as we watch every single game and every single inning. He is calling every single pitch.
Literally.
He doesn't get to take a bathroom break. He doesn't take 5 minutes to go fix, some food for their kids. He sees every single pitch. He calls it. If you lived and died that way all season long, just like if you're a player or a manager, you go insane. If every pitch was life or death for 162 games, you would not make it.
I don't think
you have. When you're inside of it, And I think it's one of the reasons why it always looks like players and coaches don't care as much as we do as fans. It's self-preservation.
They have to.
Because if they cared as much about as fans did, when you like look at the score and you're like, it punches you like, oh, they're down 8-5. What happened? And you just feel sick to your stomach.
Rage, yeah.
If they lived like that on every pitch, knowing my livelihood, my future earnings, my job satisfaction, my job security, all rests on this.
What a fine
line. You would not make it if you had that much invested emotionally, like in every single moment of the season. So you have to detach a little bit over 162 games.
Yeah, it's a fine line. It's really a fine line.
Care also. You can't not care.
Yeah.
But you also have to be able to put things in perspective.
It's got to be the hardest thing to do after a game like that, especially if you're a pitcher. Barlow goes out and gives up 5 to show up to the ballpark today and be like, "What's up, fellas?"
You also
like,
have to do it
so
after
gnarly.
wins. You can't just show up and go, "Hey, everything's fine. We
got
won the game.
I don't need my work." Yep.
You can't do that either. Jesse, all guests appear on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall Chevrolet. Find out. Did I already say that? I
think so.
All right. Well, we've got another guest coming up. You might remember Trevor Rosenthal was a short-time Padre back in 2020, but was one of our favorites when he had him on. And we're going to catch up, and he's got some post-career perspective to give. Coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan. 9 a.m., final hour of Ben and Woods on a Tuesday. We'll push the Randall Report back a little bit because we've got another guest right now on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. And boy, does this bring back some memories. The pandemic, broadcasting from our Corona cave, 6 feet of separation, masks, and the short 60-game season for the San Diego Padres, in which they went to the playoffs, had an amazing run, and at the late trade deadline of that run, which was, I believe, at the end of August, start of September, Padres picked up some help in the bullpen, a guy by the name of Trevor Rosenthal, who did not give up a run in the regular season in 9 appearances down the stretch for the San Diego Padres. We had him on the air. I remember talking to him there at the Corona Cave and just like, this guy's a great guest to talk to. And we've got him back now. Post-Major League Baseball career, Trevor Rosenthal joins us here on Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Is that accurate? Is that official? Or are you still possibly thinking of a comeback?
Hey, yeah, it's good thanks for reaching out and having me back on the show. It's always good to talk some baseball, especially San Diego baseball. Great memories aside from the pandemic. But I'm it's not official. I'm still early in this rehabilitation from a recent Tommy John surgery, about 6.5 weeks removed now, and it's going well, but it's one of those things where you never know. I mean, you guys are familiar with the new addition of Rich Hill. I mean, this guy's been rejuvenated later in his career.
Yeah, I mean, he's 10 years older than you are.
So maybe the best is still ahead. I mean, we never know. So can't count anything.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Well, so now, Trevor, you're at the point now. You're fresh off of surgery, and now you're watching a lot of baseball, and you're commenting a lot about baseball and what it takes to get there. It's fascinating stuff as a dad, certainly of kids that absolutely are on fire for the game of baseball, as is a lot of our audience as well. I've loved what you've had to say about getting to the top and then staying at the top. Summarize for us, if you could, just some of the things you've been talking about.
Yeah, really what I've learned in sharing these stories, and I appreciate you guys following along, and it's been a really big encouragement for me to see the feedback and to really understand that a lot of the experiences and moments that I've had in my career that seem normal or mundane to me because it's my life, have a lot of interest in other people that I guess haven't been able to experience those moments themselves. And for me, certainly have experienced a lot of different situations in my baseball career, from the highs and lows and everything just about in between. And if I haven't experienced it, I've definitely seen other players firsthand, teammates, friends go through just about every scenario you can imagine. And what I found is not only sharing those stories is eye-opening for other people, but there's also seems to be some sort of a lapse or a void or a hole that I feel I could fill in for parents, for youth players, and potentially even collegiate or young professionals, amateurs that are looking to excel like I've been able to in this sport. And we all have a love for the sport, and I think that's where my passion comes from first and foremost. But at this point, like we talked about, whether it's the end of my career or I'm just getting started, to give back and make an impact for somebody else is always rewarding.
Trevor, what would you tell even maybe a young major league pitcher about appreciating and living in the moment? Knowing, I mean, when you pitched for the Padres and you came off that 2020 season, pretty hot commodity, some free agent interest. You ended up signing with the A's. You got hurt there, had the thoracic outlet surgery. You have not, I mean, you probably would have never imagined that you wouldn't throw another actual pitch in the major leagues since that point with the San Diego Padres. What have you kind of learned about perspective and appreciating the moment in these last 3 years?
Yeah, you hear it so much, and unfortunately you hear a lot from players, veteran players who are towards the end of their career, and they wish they could go back and appreciate some of those moments more. And that's one thing that I love to implement into my mentoring with younger players, players that ask me questions, is we definitely all have an idea of where we want to go or the mission that we're on. Rarely does it end up exactly how we imagine. A lot of times better, sometimes maybe worse. But
what we can do to best get ourselves there is focus on taking intentional steps each day and making sure that not only are we appreciating the steps that we get to take, because it's pretty cool stepping into the box at a major league stadium, but making sure that we are intentional and making the most of it, because the little steps that maybe seem easy to take right now will eventually add up to something much more bigger in the future.
Well, and you talked about your first spring training and, basically did some great stories about your first spring training. My first spring training, I showed up early each day, not knowing what to expect. I figured it was wise not to be late. That's probably strike one on a young player if he's kind of casually walking in late. Wanted to ask you, you came up with the Cardinals, and I mean, you had some real baseball legends that you were coming up against. When you got to spring training as a rookie and thought, all right, I have a decent chance of making this. Fill everybody in on kind of how it went for you your first spring training.
Oh man, I mean, what a historic organization in terms of winning and Hall of Fame players and Hall of Fame careers. And I was so fortunate to be a part of it. And at that time with really some walking legends, Yadier Molina definitely comes to mind as one of them. And then another teammate of my time who you guys might be even more familiar with now, Matt Carpenter.
Oh, yeah.
Both of us came in around the same time and with similar opportunities, being higher round draft picks, not being a top 10 or even a first round draft pick, and really having to maximize each step or opportunity that we took. And for me, that's something that I was able to understand at an early age. I don't know how or exactly where that came from, but I'm glad that I did. And it's those little things. It's the showing up early or doing something a little bit more than is expected every single time that you have a chance to show it. And for me, doing those things and maximizing those opportunities got the attention, and it allowed me as a 21st round draft pick to take away attention from the first round draft picks at that time. And that was a big jumping off point for my career. And I feel gave me an earlier opportunity to enter into the big leagues at a young age at 22 years old than I might have had otherwise.
Talking with former Padre Trevor Rosenthal, and as Woodsy just said, you spent most of your career with the Cardinals, but you did get to see some other organizations firsthand: the Nationals, Tigers, Royals, Giants, a little bit as well, A's. And I know you were only with San Diego for, barely over a month to see this organization, but how can you, looking at all the different ones, is there anything you saw about the Padres kind of comparing and contrasting from what you saw with other organizations, knowing, hey, there's a different manager here, but hey, AJ Preller is still here. There's a lot of the same people in the front office as well from the time that you were here in San Diego.
Definitely. It's been a really pleasurable experience being able to jump around and see the operations from a business side or our front office side of these different organizations. And I'll have to say, working for over the last decade with Scott Boras has been a huge advantage as well. Having conversations and asking him questions about the inner workings and things that an average player might not have interest in or even understand that is really a factor in how these organizations operate. But I think one of the biggest things that I've seen, I saw this with the St. Louis Cardinals early in my career, but a commonality that you can really pinpoint to success are individuals in management positions, a position like AJ Preller, and definitely a guy like AJ Preller personifies this, but their passion for the game exceeds beyond the statistics or the analytics of a season, and it certainly goes to winning and bringing in the best talent possible. But these guys, they all just have a passion and love where the game is everything, and this is what they're about, and this is all they want to do. And for me, when I see guys like that, and when you have multiple guys like that, or a guy at the top that can build out a structure underneath him to fulfill that, there's nothing it's really hard to not have success from those times. And I think we can see a few organizations around now that are missing those components, and they're pretty easy to identify. But I would say that was something I was really impressed with, certainly with AJ. And I think the ownership in there in San Diego has a good feel and a deep passion for the game as well.
So how would you categorize what's happened, I guess, or not happened this season, Trevor? And by not happened, I mean really consistent baseball. The only team, by the way, in Major League Baseball we are now official, the last team without a 4-game winning streak.
Oh, did the Nationals get one?
Nationals got one.
Wow.
And we are
Congratulations.
now, yes, we are the last team to 3 games in a row is our max, Trevor. And I know, you're talking about the passion, and we have no doubt about work ethic and things like that. It's almost a staggering statistic that this team with that lineup, the guys in that uniform, how great the pitching's been at times. You look at it and go, how the hell did this team not win 4 games in a row?
No, it's so true. I mean, I think there's some nuances to the game. The game's gotten more competitive in a lot of ways. We've had rule changes. There's no doubt that San Diego's approach to building this lineup far exceeds a lot of other teams' approach over the last 2 years. And I think really with all teams, and especially this year with the rule changes, and a big part of what has kept me employed and kept me having opportunities to play at this level is the lack of pitching. I mean, pitching is a commodity. It always has been, and I think it always will be. And when you're a team like San Diego at the trade deadline, making a push, looking to acquire the top talent that you can possibly acquire, and Rich Hill is at the top of that list, I think we see that. We see how the pitching becomes a commodity. Yep. And we hear it as a cliche, but pitching does win championships. And the teams that I've been on have had that pitching from the starting pitching and through the bullpen. And if you have a hole somewhere in there, it's going to be identified. And it doesn't matter how many runs you can score if you can't keep runs off the board.
Got a question for you, Trevor, that I've always been curious about. I mean, you're trying to come back from an injury now. You've done it before. See it with pitchers a lot. You got one of your former teammates right now, Michael Wacha, who's trying to come back with the Padres, having a really good season right now. Now, Joe Musgrove is hurt, and he's going to have to rest and sit for 3 weeks. How does that process really work when it comes to like how your elbow or your shoulder is feeling, and how a team kind of brings you back, and whether they're pushing you because it's a playoff chase and they need you, but they also want to make sure you're healthy for the long term? What is that process like for a big league pitcher?
Yeah, I've seen so many variables, and so many players respond in different ways. But the variables come in really from a management side or a player's team that he has individually away from the club. I think a lot of times agents can step in and give advice to players that might not be the most beneficial. And a lot of this has to do with operating as a business and trying to do what's best for the players. Certainly a team who's in a position to make a run wants every player on the field, even if they're contributing at less than their 100%. But you see a lot of players that don't want to take the field under 100% of what they're capable of. And so there's this interesting back and forth or dynamic that comes into play. But from my experience, and my approach has always been, we're employed by an employer. We're here to play the game, and I want to take the ball every time I have an opportunity to, even if it's not the best that I might be able to offer for that particular day. And from my personal experience, it's benefited me tremendously. I've been surprised myself at performances I've been able to have. And I've also seen it on the flip side with other high caliber players that have done this throughout their career, and it's paid huge dividends for them. At some point though, it does come to a head where you're just not able to compete. In those situations, the rest is necessary. And thankful for modern medicine that we're able to treat a lot more of these injuries quickly and productively than we had in the past.
Well, Trevor, really appreciate it. It did not disappoint. Love your insight. People should be following you on social media if they can, on Twitter and elsewhere. Give us all your channels that you're available on right now.
The big one's been Twitter. I do have the other platforms, the Instagram, the new Threads. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I've dabbled a little.
Yeah, a little dabble.
Mm-hmm.
Trev Rosenthal on X, technically, I guess it's no longer Twitter, but Trev Rosenthal, if you want to follow him and see some of these insight and stories that he's given you. Trevor, really appreciate it. It was good catching up with you. We'll do it again. Be looking for Paulie's phone call again.
Anytime, guys. Good luck for the rest of the fun. I'm really excited to watch some Padre baseball. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, man.
Outstanding. Trevor Rosenthal with us on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline.
Makes one of us.
Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet find new roads. He has perspective. He can live through a game or two, whereas you cannot.
Correct.
Just torture for you.
Just absolute torture. Yep. Don't know what to expect.
Tomorrow's show will be completely different. It's just how it's been all season long.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Man, did this team turn the corner last night?
Parade back on?
If anyone says that, I don't care what the final score is. Walk-off grand slam. I don't care.
I'll make a deal
No
with you.
one's saying that tomorrow.
I won't mention turning the corner if you don't mention run differential. Deals?
That's the game tomorrow. All right, that's fine.
That was a terrible handshake. Absolutely all fingers.
Dainty.
He doesn't know what to do.
In here. There you go. Shake it like a
Don't be sexist. Misogyny
It's true.
bell.
Shake it like a human.
Ding, ding, ding.
All right. No run differential and no turning of the corner.
Well, it's not as good actually after the last 3 games anyway, last 4 games. So no worries about that at the moment.
Deal.
We'll come back. Still have our headlines from our Rindle report. Last couple of segments, Ben and Woods ahead after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. I will say one thing that the Padres accomplished yesterday that I have never seen before in my life. So many straw hats on heads in one place at the same time.
I thought I was watching the Coneheads. Everybody looked like a bunch of Coneheads. 40,000.
That had to be a world record.
Stadium
straw
full of
hats.
Bens in there.
I mean, they showed shots like looking down from the broadcast. Just the sea of straw hats out there.
They didn't give them out on a chilly Tuesday night.
No.
It was a hot Monday afternoon.
I believe
the Padres still, fans still showing up middle of the day on a Monday.
Close to 175,000 people attended the 4-game series and homestand against the Dodgers.
Yep.
And there were some Dodgers fans in there as well, but 175,000 people.
The one thing you can't say is, well, you guys only sell out when we're in town. No, that's just not the case. It's 43 other sellouts this season, minus this series. So it's, like I said the other day, you can blame the you can blame the chemistry, you can blame the IV, you can blame Bob Melvin, you can blame the bullpen, the lack of focus, the no dog in them, whatever. Do not blame the fans in San Diego. That is they are infallible, absolutely infallible this season. There's nothing you can point to say, well, you guys haven't been showing up. Of course we're playing like crap. No, they've been showing up Monday afternoon, Tuesday nights, Wednesday evenings. It does not matter. So know that, San Diego fans, take some solace in that.
Yu Darvish was solid in the loss on Friday. Blake Snell was okay in the win on Saturday, but pitching ultimately let the Padres down this series. Dodgers scored 34 runs in 4 games. You have not seen any team do that to the San Diego Padres this season. And yeah, it's the Dodgers. They got a good lineup, and they absolutely have the Padres number. I'm curious to see whether or not, though, I guess the fear would be that this is a sign of things to come, with Joe Musgrove on the IL, with Michael Wacha not back yet, with Rich Hill at least unproven in a Padres uniform. Is this the tip of an iceberg that is going to unravel this season for the Padres, or is this simply you're playing the Dodgers? They've got Freddie Freeman, they got Mookie Betts, they are really, really good players. And you're going to give up some runs to those guys, even if things are going well. I'm not sure
we've
which
got
it
Juan
is.
Soto, we've got Fernando Tatis Jr., we've got Xander Bogaerts, we got Manny Machado, we got Hassan
The
Kim.
Padres have been scoring runs since the start of July. They scored enough runs in the series.
What they scored in the series?
They scored. Let's go back. So they had.
Yeah, I mean they put some runs up, but they did not prevent.
So they
you're
scored 7, 2, 8, and 5.
Yeah,
So
that's
Padres, when they score at least 4
that's
runs,
3 out of 4 traditionally.
I think, what is their record, like 46
Yeah.
and 19 when they score at least 4 runs? That's the magic number.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in 2 of the 3 games, they got to the magic number and still lost.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily the offense in the series. It was more the pitching in this series for the Padres. But yeah, you go back and, in 11 and 8 in their wins against the Rockies, they've been putting up runs fairly consistently since the start of July. They need to keep that going, but the pitching can't drop off a cliff because of injuries. If the Padres want to make up the ground they need to make up in the wild card race.
The good news is they can get right. Got a Seattle team that's only won 8 out of their last 10.
Cool. Logan Gilbert on the bump. He's pretty nasty.
9-5 with a 3.86.
Mm-hmm. They traded away their closer at the trading deadline. Probably a signal that they weren't really that serious about going for it. But
talking to a buddy up there, he said everyone is furious with their team for not doing a full-on sell at the deadline, but definitely moving key pieces. And he was telling me we have 4 starting pitchers who are like in the top 20 in the American League.
Yeah.
We have a great pitching staff, and the team still decided that wasn't worthy enough of buying and adding and making a push, and they got rid of some key guys.
Now, keep in mind the differences between the American and the National League. The Padres are 3 games under 500 and 4 games out of the final playoff spot. The Mariners are 8 games above 500 and 3 games out of the final playoff spot. So the top 3 are much higher up in the American League. It's tougher to chase down at least a wild card spot in that league than it is in the National League, where Padres are are only 7 games still back of the Giants for the top wild card spot in the National League, with a lot of games against the Giants and the Diamondbacks, and they've got games against the Marlins and still the Phillies, all ahead of them, that will truly determine the outcome for this season.
Yep, 100%.
You know, if they play well in those games, they're going to be in the playoffs. If they play poorly, they got no shot to be in the playoffs.
Correct.
So, you know, ultimately, yeah, it's a bummer to lose 3 or 4 from the Dodgers.
Still in your
the
hands.
odds of coming back and winning the division were really low. I think like they're 2% anyway. It's the games against those other teams that will ultimately determine whether the Padres get there or not. Now, these Mariners games are big, but the biggest part of this road trip are the 3 in Arizona coming up this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then on the next homestand, the Padres get Baltimore, but then they've got the Marlins and the Diamondbacks coming in as well, I believe.
Baltimore first, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the Diamondbacks,
Yep.
and then the following, it'll be the next
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday against the Marlins. So you'll have
man.
7 straight at home against teams that are right ahead of you. So the next 10 of the next 15 games.
That's the season. Right?
Are
Strap in,
against
my
teams,
friend.
are
That
against
is
the
the
teams
season.
right in front of you in the wild card race.
There will, I mean, after that homestand, there will be only 28 games left or whatever it is. Like that is
Strap
your
in.
season.
Here we go.
They'll be 2.5 out and still they'll have won a bunch, but they'll also have lost some they shouldn't have lost, and will be
Some other teams will win.
Yeah, they'll probably game under 500.
But they'll be
will
3 games
scratching their
out.
head. Yeah, they'll be right there. We'll be going, well, I mean, they can definitely make up 3 games in the 29 that they've got left here. I mean, nothing changes with this team. Nothing at all. We're going to be doing this until the last day of the season. And then we'll know, at least.
Hey, there's a lot of time left. We've got 2 games left. In the
Yeah,
season,
I mean,
guys.
they're only a
Super
game out.
fun.
They got 2 games left in the season. Plenty of time left this year. All right, let's take time out. Paulie's going to get some headlines, some other stuff going on in the world of sports, including, I guess they've named a replacement for Shannon Sharp on Undisputed. I didn't see this yesterday.
What a pick.
Okay, we'll find out coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Did you hear what this monster just said, Paulie? When I said I got to bring the boys in for an hour tomorrow, he goes, "No, fantastic."
Not again.
Not again. Just an hour, 9 to 10.
I love your boys. They're fantastic. You're fantastic when you have to watch them during the show. But the boys are great.
They're good kids.
You're the problem.
I don't know what to do. We are in, by the way, our kids have been in preschool, right? Like preschool, and then
you're in the interregnum.
But hang on, we did the summer session. They were in the summer session. We're at 9:38 of day 2 of summer. We've had 70 fights. What are we going to do when they get real summer? Like, the 2-month summer. What do we do? I honestly, we're on day 2. Hannah and I are like, I can't manage this. What are we supposed to do? I got to go pick them up from her office today. I'm taking them to go see my buddy. And then
sleepaway summer camp.
See, you can't do that these days.
No.
Creeps.
No.
That's how I feel about it. Creeps everywhere. Thanks a lot, Dad, for sending me to that camp.
Did you meet any creeps?
There's these days, it's like, I don't know. I feel like I can't do it anymore. So what am I going to do? What are we going to do when we have real summer? We both work. Like, where do they go? I just don't know what to do. My heart goes out to all the parents out there that are dying to find, something for their kids to do.
You'll threaten them enough until they get in line. I know how you work.
Where do I put them? That's the problem. So she's got to drop them off tomorrow. They're going to be here for an hour. So it'll be guest hosted by Bo and Taylor.
Have they gotten into video games yet?
No.
Kind of plug them in a little bit.
No.
iPad.
A little
Great
iPad.
parenting,
Very, very little iPad.
I'm thinking that it might be time for the first video game system.
Yeah. She's so anti.
I know.
I mean, so vehemently against it.
There's a reason why we all cave as parents at some point.
At some point, you just have to
the
give
video game wishes.
You know what? Just go to your room, play video
It's
games
just
for 14
it
hours.
makes them too happy, and it's too easy for you. It's like it's the ultimate combination of temptation.
That's exactly right.
It's like you want to make your kids happy, and you want to make life easy on yourself, but you also feel guilty about doing it through video games. Yet it solves every problem
literally
you've
solves
ever had
everything.
as a parent.
They love it. They're quiet. They're not messing stuff up.
They're not getting into anything.
They're not getting anything. But my wife is so anti.
They're happy.
And then you're laying there. You're like, I can rest.
Quiet.
Yes.
They solve every problem.
I'm dead, dude.
Yet
dead.
you know that you're also neglecting your ultimate responsibilities of turning them into productive citizens.
I'll just perform works of Shakespeare instead all summer when I get off of work. All right, kids, sit down. Here we go.
Arts and crafts time again.
Oh my God! So
are they really getting more out of arts and crafts than they are out of
video games? Yeah, I don't know. It's debatable, but here we are on day 2 of summer.
We'll rationalize it at some point. Well, those hand-eye motor coordination skills are important. There's some problem solving.
What if he's
games.
an offensive coordinator? He's playing football, like he's playing baseball. He's doing pitch selection. Yeah, can BS my way around it, but yeah. So they'll be in tomorrow. You don't want to miss that. Last time we were here, Bo dropped a GD on the air, so that was fun.
Yeah.
So you never know what you're going to get.
And they both
they made a tremendous mess out there.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
There was some diaper
both
problems.
went potty on the air.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
All right. Paulie's got some headlines. Rindle Report coming up right after our last check of traffic this morning here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
It's been a busy morning. We're not quite over it yet. Southbound side of the 15 before Calisita. Got a collision over to the right shoulder. Also an accident. It's just been cleared out of lanes on the southbound 67 right before the 52. Seeing a lot of residual slowing there. Traffic advisory in our East County, westbound 8 before Lake Jennings Park Road. Going to find a right lane blocked between Lake Jennings and those coaches. All due to some road work that goes until about 2 o'clock this afternoon. Southbound side of the 163 before the 52, collision involving a couple vehicles there over the right shoulder. Northbound 5 at the Hawthorne exit got a collision. Also traveling on the northbound 15 right at the north on 805, an accident in clearing stage. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Rindle Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Rindle Report, with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh my God! Somebody just laid us out
If
in
you're,
the chat.
if you're watching us on YouTube during the traffic report, we were laughing hysterically. And just given that last conversation we just had, I was looking through the YouTube chat. Somebody says, get the kids a Nintendo Switch. It's a very child-friendly video game console. Handheld console.
Yeah.
And
Switch.
Matthew says in the chat, my son threw his Switch out the car on the 5. And we just, it absolutely killed us. And then he goes on and says, the battery died, so he thought it was over. So he just yeeted it out the back window going 75 miles an hour.
Yeeted is one of my favorite words, by the way. Just, all right, that's it. Cable goes out. He just rips the TV off the wall, throws it in the garbage.
Like it's an apple core or something.
An apple core.
Guess I finished that video game.
God.
Dad, I need another one.
Dada, can I get another?
This one's empty.
Bro, that's one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life, man. Holy cow, that was brilliant.
What do you-
No, you're like, well, all right. I mean, oh, it's so good, dude. That is so fantastic. Thank you for that, Matthew. Made our day, man.
All right, let's get started here. We've been following I hate the death grip that these debate shows have on us in sports media, but we've been following Undisputed.
I love the death grip they have.
I
on
think
us.
that's
No,
the
I
worst
hate it.
opinion
It's terrible.
you've ever
I think
had.
it's great.
You
This
don't
is
know what you're
incredible.
talking about. Shannon Sharp out at FS1. This was a couple of months ago. Him and Skip Bayless got into it, and that relationship was severed. And according to Andrew Marchand from the New York Post, who's very dialed in sports media, says that Richard Sherman will be joining Undisputed, and he will be debating Skip Bayless. It has not been official yet, but the offer, it's been agreed upon. And FS1 said they also have some interest in Keyshawn Johnson, maybe bringing him over. I believe he's doing ESPN Los Angeles still. But Richard Sherman, he has been getting into the media a little bit after his football career. He's still going to be a part of Amazon Prime's Thursday Night Football studio crew, but he will be doing the Monday through Friday morning debate show. And if you're curious how that might sound, well, they actually have some history, Skip Bayless and Richard Sherman. I had completely forgotten about this, but this was when Richard Sherman was an active player in the NFL.
I remember this.
During his, he had like a 3 or 4 year window where he was the shutdown premier cornerback in football. And he joined, this was Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless, the first real rendition of First Take on ESPN. But listen to how this interview started.
How good do you really believe you are? Because you got people out there looking at you and saying, he's just talking smack. How good do you believe you are?
Well, I believe my numbers speak for themselves. I mean, my tape speaks for itself. My tape is my resume. That's what I leave it up to. I mean, you can say whatever you want. Skip can say whatever he wants, but Skip, whenever you refer to me, whenever you speak to me, whenever you address me as all-pro Stanford graduate, because those are some accomplishments you can aspire to. You will never accomplish. You have never accomplished anything. Oh, no. So, but those things are on my resume. Those are what I've done. It's my second year in the NFL, going on my third. I mean, you tell me who's wrong.
Okay, I'll accept that. I think I've accomplished more in my field than you have in yours, though you're just getting started.
So I'm the top of my field. So I'm all pro. I'm the best, one of the best 22 players in the NFL. You're going to brush it off, but I don't think you're the best 22 anything in sports, in media, and anything. I think you think more of yourself than you actually can,
This might be great, actually.
But
okay. Do you think you're better than Darrelle Revis is right now?
In my 24 years of life, I'm better at life than you.
Oh, wow. All right.
Now, so these two guys are going to be co-hosts every day now.
Okay.
So there you go.
There you go. Still won't watch.
Stay tuned for that.
Richard Sherman from future Mountain West School, Stanford.
Potentially. All cards are on the table at this point.
Good transition there. Trying to figure out what the hell San Diego State's going to do as conferences continue to just. It's like every hour there's a new update.
Is there an update though? What is
new reports at least?
Is there an update? Like, is it different today than it was yesterday,
No.
or is it still just more
think it's the
uncertainty?
More uncertainty,
as it
more
was yesterday.
trying to figure out what maybe San Diego State's best move could be. What options do they even have left? I was texting with a buddy yesterday who's a University of Washington alum, very excited about joining the Big Ten, stepping up with the big boys. And he goes, I was like, I think if I had it my way, try to get San Diego State into that Big 12, whatever it's going to end up being, the Big 16. I think that's probably the best choice. Literally less than 5 minutes later, Brett McMurphy posted that the Big 12 has, quote, no appetite to add any of the Pac-4 schools, the last 4 remaining, or San Diego State. Sources told Action Network headquarters, we have no interest in doing anything. Source said, we're done. So according to a very reliable insider in Brett McMurphy, San Diego State to the Big 12 will not happen.
It's left out in the cold.
There's,
Well,
of
they're
course,
still in the Mountain West.
Mountain West, right.
Yes, they have a home.
Left out in the old.
Not a great
Yeah,
home.
left
but
out in the old.
Left out in the
They
old.
do have a home. There's been talk of can the Pac-12 or Pac-4 and the Mountain West merge and take those 4 teams and try to figure out a new conference. And Pete Thamel from Yahoo Sports, another well-known college sports insider, says sources, ACC presidents met this morning for exploratory call on Cal and Stanford. No vote was taken. The league is still evaluating the potential decision. So if it's Stanford, Cal, Washington State, and Oregon State are the 4 remaining.
Right.
In the Pac-12. Stanford and Cal don't want to join the Mountain West. They're trying to get into the ACC.
The Atlantic. It's the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Yeah, they can throw a stone into the Pacific Ocean, and they want to join the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Yes. I don't even know what's going on right now.
So, I mean, I don't know. The best possible option now would be to either join, like, if the Pac-12 then takes some of the Mountain West schools, or they combine together into one slightly better conference that included Stanford and Cal. Maybe that would be, but I don't see even that conference isn't going to generate massive media rights for the schools. That was always the goal. San Diego State wanted to, they build up their basketball program, they build their new football stadium, get that invitation to the Pac-12 where they can start, making some real money off the television contracts, which they don't get in the Mountain West. And now it looks like no matter what, that avenue is not there, that there's not going to be big TV money for San Diego State. If no other conference wants to take them in, even a newly created blend of the Pac-12 and the Mountain West is still kind of an inferior product for TV companies. So, the money will go up a little bit, inflation, what have you, but all the investment that they've done is not going to pay off the way that they hoped it would.
Yeah.
I almost feel bad. They put in the work, they put it all together. They got their ducks in a row, and it's all exploded really through almost no fault of their own in the last second, through other, decisions made at other schools that have left San Diego State without any great options for moving up. And it's kind of unfortunate as well, because I think they deserve. There's going to be haves and have-nots in college athletics in the future. I mean, there already are. San Diego State tried so hard to be in the haves, and it looks like they're going to be kind of left in the have-nots still.
In the Mountain West Plus or something, some ridiculous iteration of it, man. Yeah, and it's just a lot of uncertainty right now, and it's a bummer. It's certainly a bummer. You want big time college football here. It's certainly lacking.
Now they can still have some success on the field.
Sure.
The college football playoff is now open to them. If they can win the Mountain West, go to that college football playoff, that would be big. But again, it's not going to change the financial success of San Diego State. And they were really looking to move up like the Jeffersons, essentially. They're looking for that deluxe apartment in the sky of college sports. And right now it looks like they're still going to stay, near the ground floor when it comes to it, which means it's going to be harder to, improve facilities and do what they ultimately wanted to do and become one of the bigger boys. Take that route that TCU and Utah did when they went from a Mountain West school to TCU is now, perennial national title contender in football and basketball. Utah gone to Rose Bowls and, college football, close to the college football playoff. We thought San Diego State could make that step. I don't see how they do it now. I just don't.
All right, and finally, I will not play the whole video. I will not play any of the video because I didn't edit any of the sound, but there is a video that has gone viral from over the weekend in Alabama.
Oh, it's just
You've probably seen it at this point if you're on the internet at all. We actually had to show Ben before the show this morning.
Missed that.
I don't
He
know.
goes, what are you guys talking about? What happened in Alabama? There was a massive brawl at a boat dock in Alabama where the 30-second version of the story is it's these big river boats, the big giant boats that can hold a couple hundred people, and they're all trying to park on this dock, and these group of idiots, like
frat boys,
like Alabama frat boys, tried to tie their pontoon where they weren't supposed to park.
Well, they told them, hey, you can't leave that there. And they're like, we'll be back in 5 minutes or whatever. Like, we'll be back. And then they never came back.
They didn't.
So it's just sitting there. And we got to park these real boats here, buddy.
Yes. And an African-American security guard tried to get them to move their boat. They started jumping this guy.
Yeah.
Like 8-on-1.
8-on-1.
And absolute chaos ensues. A boat with a bunch of people come off the boat and start helping the security guard and just beat the hell out of this group of 6 or 8 guys.
It's unbelievable.
The
audio of it is
one
amazing.
guy jumped off the boat, swam to the dock, climbed up, and just started laying
And somebody goes,
haymakers.
do you know how tired, do you know how much adrenaline you must have to swim as far as he did, then get your ass up the ladder, then run out there and start fighting Alabama frat boys? It was awesome.
It's one of the best
awesome.
videos I've ever seen.
I mean, you park in a red zone. You can't be surprised when
you
your
get
car
towed.
gets towed.
Yes, 100%.
This is what we're talking about, the boat version of that.
Yeah, the boat version.
The aftermath. I know we only got a minute left.
What's happening?
So there have been arrests, but I love how the internet works because one of the guys that was starting the fight and then playing the victim card, of course, he went on Facebook. He's like, I don't know what happened. And people found that he owns a mini mart in Alabama and absolutely plastered it with 1-star reviews.
Crushed
and
him.
then one of the other guys involved actually jumped onto TikTok to share his thoughts. And I'm going to share just a screenshot of what he looks like here on the YouTube chat.
Oh my God.
And here's the audio that he sent. It's very short.
Well, turns out that 65-year-old man could really throw him.
Can really effing throw.
I need you to save the whelp because I want that added to the Padres loss montage. Thank you.
Well,
that's it. That's what I want. All right. That's perfect. Well, that's it for us.
That is it for us.
Speaking of whelp.
Wrapping up with the Rhino Report today.
Guy's face, he just got jacked.
Oh,
man.
wow. Yeah, that's not good.
Oh,
Padres baseball back, 5:40
Yeah.
pregame show with Sam Levitt, 6:40 first pitch from T-Mobile Park? Yeah, T-Mobile Park in Seattle. Formerly Safeco Field. Padres and Mariners at 6:40. Nick Martinez going as long as he can against Logan Gilbert in the start of a 2-game series. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. to talk about all of it right here. Coach John Quintero, Braden coming up next. For executive producer Paul Reinl and Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Tuesday from all of us at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.